What is up, everybody? So, gotten the summer event done on all the accounts that mattered and all the ones we were trying to get it done on. And we got one and like a half day left. So I'm like, fuck it, we'll just see how much we can get done on the 1 to 3 star account. I've been playing it a little bit, like here and there, so it's done a chunk of the event already, but it's pretty behind. I don't think we're gonna finish, but we'll see. This is the only account, though, that got the CE drop without any work. It just got the CE drop, like, super randomly at the very beginning. I'm like, okay. Also, I've been using my AP pretty efficiently every day on all of my accounts, for the most part, and none of them have gotten the nighttime CE drop. None of them. And I've been doing nothing but nighttime stages on all the accounts that have finished the event. So, feels bad. Thankfully, that CE is not that important, but it'd be nice to get it anyway. It is kind of nice for supports, though, just because it makes that unit less likely to be crit. Whoever's wearing it, they're less likely to be crit by 10% and just permanently. That's kind of cool, so. But I can always get it next year. We might be able to get this account through this event, we'll see. Alright, so what I've been doing in this event, as I generally say with the 1 to 3 star account, I can use event CEs, just so, you know, the farming is bearable and whatnot. And then after I beat a stage, then I can use whatever I want. I don't have to stick to the 1 to 3 star rule, but I have to beat every stage once with the typical restrictions. Alright, let's see here. I think this is one of those stages where, like, you can't win, so it doesn't really matter what we bring, but I'll summon something that's a low star. Fucking 3 star CEs, man. What the hell was I thinking with that? Here we go, we'll go Collins. We'll probably try Lee's students again once I get Phantom up and once I just get a few gold gems. I need some gold assassin gems. I've been hoping for an event, like a lottery, that would give gems, you know, that would be nice. Alright. No point in getting rare spawns here. Pretty sure this is a stage there where like what you bring doesn't matter, so I'll just bring bonus drop stuff. So I don't think it'll matter. Okay, game's a little loud. Like normally you're better off, like in terms of CEs, normally you're better off on a support with something like you know, Prison Ilya or 2030, you know, stuff like that. But there are times where you just want some starting MP and then, you know, the survivability from the anti-crit and that kind of thing. Yeah, I think this stage you just live until she MPs and that's that. That was fun though, doing that stage. You fight her later, and we used Hercules and he soloed it. That was pretty fun. No, I haven't burned the other copy of Odysseus yet, but I don't need the rare prisms yet, so no rush. Oh, she MPs right away, okay. Nice damage nerf. She didn't even kill anyone. Very hard fight, guys. Hey, thank you for the bits, Lord. Let's see, do I have any free quests I need to do at night? Yep, okay. What did this stage drop? I don't remember. I'll just go with the rare spawn CE then. I should be summoning from my main account and not my ult account, but I'm too lazy to bring up my main account, so we're just using the ult for now. Good enough. Does this account have Hans's third skill buff? Wait, do we not have Hans leveled? What? Am I blind? Or is he in the back row? He's in the back row. I was about to say, I don't see how this account's gotten this far if we don't have Hans. Like, what? Alright. I mean, I guess Masashi and Kojiro kind of reached the route. And, you know, there's people that are connected to it, like, the little shit from Fate Prototype and, Shiki. It's not exactly the same thing, though. Yeah, I guess Masashi and Kojiro are pretty much the closest thing that we've confirmed on that. If I remember right, though, you don't really want to get to the root. Like, everyone thinks they do, but they don't. Like, it's like if you get there, you, like, vanish or some shit. I mean, if you follow the logic of the game, if they ever added Saber Kojiro, as he was in the story anyway, he would not require rolling on because he would be a bronze. Like, as an enemy boss, he was bronze. And I think that's how he should be, because he doesn't have magic circuits, he doesn't have a noble phantasm, he's not a fucking heroic spirit in the first place. So I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be a bronze, honestly. Now, that being said, I say that like there's any logic to what's bronze and gold and silver, which there really isn't, so it doesn't even matter, but, like, freaking Asterios is a bronze for some fucking reason. Hey, Legend. But yeah, it'd be nice to have another bronze saber, honestly, because we only got Jason and he's AoE, so having a single target bronze saber would be nice. Not really sure what I brought Hans for, to be honest. We don't really need him. Look at all these defense buffs, though. Drop CE? You know. That could have happened. Although I would have laughed if this account got the CE drop and my other accounts have been farming it and not getting it. I haven't been using apples though, so I don't think it's worth it. Alright, that should be that. Man, this account is like no chainsaws. That's gonna be a problem. At least my ult actually limit broke that CE. That's, you know what's funny? That Yang CE is one of the only limited time Gasha CEs that I have limit broken. And it's mainly because I was trying to get Brunhilde and I just happened to get a lot of copies of it, so. And it's a good one. It's so good, in fact, that I'll rarely, if ever, use it in videos, but it's really good. I guess horseshoes. Yeah, I got a lot of Kiara, dude. It was pretty silly. Footsteps intensifies. I guess Ushi it is. Alright, time for the old ley line. What? Oh. There we go. Yeah, 4-star rate ups are kind of the worst. Also, Kiara basically likes everyone, that's the problem. No standards, that one. I don't know why I'm even bothering to give him a CE, but you know. It could help. I think I brought the damage CE by mistake, but whatever. How about that Uchi animation update, guys? I was always telling people to, you know, curve their enthusiasm about that. I'm like, you know, it's gonna take a while because you gotta get down the pipeline. They couldn't even put it in the pipeline until the episode aired and all that. But it's been so long now that I'm like, okay, this is getting a bit ridiculous. Yeah, if you're doing 3-star stuff, Leyline is pretty good. Pretty much the only CE worth a fuck. I mean, not all versions of Kiara are trying to kill everyone, but most versions of Kiara are megalomaniacs that want to bang everyone, so there's still that. That animation is so rare, dude. Their crit animation there. It's pretty cool, though. I remember it took us forever to see that. We were like doing a stage with them and just doing it over and over until we got them to crit. Honestly, though, as much as I don't like Kiara, she gets kind of a bad rap, and a lot of that is the devs, like the writers and and all the people that do stuff with Kiara. They always use the really extreme versions of her. Kiara normally is fairly normal. You know, it's only very specific timelines where it gets that warped, but that's always the ones they focus on. So it's like she has this reputation of just being like out of her mind and you know, the super horny nonsense, but like that's normally she's not that crazy. And I don't even like her, for God's sakes. My notifications are not working, by the way. I guess Streamlabs are just fucked right now. Thank you for the resub, though. With Shiro Blue. Oh, I'm sorry, that I think it was Shiro Blue gifted a sub, excuse me. So thank you. I mean, I don't really have a problem with sane characters, to be honest, right? It's like, sane characters are fine. Like, some crazy's good, too, from time to time, although Kiara's not really my brand of crazy, but, I normally like crazy characters, but I've always said, like, you know, good old salami, meatballs. But anyway, she's too crazy for me. Like, Jesus Christ, they just... That's an out of her fucking mind character right there. That's just probably I think she's the craziest person in Fate right now, I would say. Like, she puts Kiara to shame in terms of just lunacy. I will say, though, her gameplay is really interesting. She has some of the most interesting gameplay. I've thought about grailing her just because her gameplay is so much fun, but I wouldn't do it for a while. I gotta get Blood Axe up and then I don't know what, on my ult account, I don't know what I'm gonna Grail once Blood Axe is done. No, not Little Gil. There's really no world where I ever Grail him because I just like Adult Gil way better, so... And he's 100. It's always hard for me to pick who I want to Grail because... I should have brought Atlas. But, because it's like, I value a lot of different things, you know, I value, like, I'm more likely to Grail something that's low rarity because they need the stats more, and it's fun to take a unit that has, like, subpar stats and give them good stats to see how they do. That's really enjoyable and stuff. But then I also like Grailing characters I just like, and things like that, so it gets complicated and it's really hard for me to decide who to Grail. I've thought about Grailing Phantom just because... Here's the thing, like, unironically, I like Phantom, like, as a character, and I like, you know, the actual story and stuff just fine, right? But his gameplay is just so bad, it's like, what do you even say? Hit Ushi in the back again, there you go. Yeah, big dum-dum. Yeah, I only Grail 5 stars if I super fucking like them, and even then it normally takes me a while. Like, it took me forever to Grail Mordred just because I had so many other like, low stars to deal with first. The one exception to that was my ult account, and that was kind of because it was like that account basically existed to get Gilgamesh, right? That's the whole point of it. So it's like, yeah, of course I'm gonna Grail Gilgamesh. So I've kind of used my ult account to kind of just, you know, Grail, you know, because I Grailed Achilles later and that kind of thing. So my ult account I've Grailed 5 stars like candy, but my main I generally focus on my favorite low stars first, and then I start worrying about 5 stars or 4 stars. You know, my first Grail was Ku, obviously, and then it was Billy, and then I think it was actually good, like those 2 Grails to Medusa, and then I think Sanson, and he's up to 100, obviously. And then I think I Grailed Mordred. I think I may have forgotten someone in there. Then they added Mori later, then I Grailed Mori immediately, of course. That was the easiest 100 of all time. No, I haven't Grailed Dantes. He just doesn't need it at all. Like, I like Edmund a lot, but it's like... He doesn't need it in the slightest, so... Like, I have to... The only way I'll really Grail a 5-star is if, one, they're on my ult account. Or if I just... They have to be like... I have to super fucking like them. And even then, like I said, you know, even Mordred, who's in, like, really high on my list, took forever for me to actually Grail her. It's very rare that I Grail 5 stars, especially on my main. I think my main has only Grailed 1 5-star. I think it's just Mordred. I don't think I've Grailed any other 5 stars. Everything else has been 1 to 4 star, and mostly 1 to 3 star. You know, Enkidu's not Grailed, and a big part of that is because... Now, I will say, Enkidu's, like, on the border of getting Grailed. Like, he's definitely been a 5-star that I've considered Grailing. But the thing about Enkidu is, he's so broken. Like, here, okay, let me like, put this in perspective, right? If you've got, like, a 2-star you really like, they might have a really strong toolkit that has a lot of potential and stuff, but it's hard to make them, like, your main thing of whatever their role is, be it a damage dealer or support or whatever, just because their stats are so low. They can be a good backup, a good side one, you know, but if you want them to be, like, the focus of the team, it's really difficult because of how low their stats are, right? So they kind of need the Grail. It's like, oh, I want, you know, I don't know, like, say Gareth. You want Gareth to be, like, one of your main DPS Lancers. You know, yeah, she can be a side DPS Lancer, but for her to be your main one, you have to Grail her. I mean, you're going to have to Grail her to 100, 2k foe, all that stuff. It's not that her toolkit's not good enough, it's that their stats just are not there. But with like Enkidu, no one has ever been like, oh god, I just can't make Enkidu my main Lancer, even though he's over there soloing like every Archer boss and every Divinity boss and every 13 Humanity boss. Just can't do it, boys. Right? It's so unnecessary. Like nobody is like, oh god, Enkidu just doesn't make the cut, right? Enkidu's already above, you know, going above and beyond at level 90. So I'm not exactly like, oh man, I gotta get him to 100 because he's just not working, guys, right? That being said, though, I really do like Enkidu, and I'll say this, if I had gotten Enkidu to a high NP rank on like my ult account, I probably would have grailed him. Especially because I grailed Gilgamesh on the ult account. But on my main, it's not. I've thought about it though, because I really do like his character a lot. And he's green. So, you know, there's a lot in his favor. And, you know, it might happen way down the line. The main reason, like, I'll say this, if way back in the day, when I made the decision to grail Mordred, I almost grailed Enkidu instead. And if they had never added any new units since then, I probably would have grailed Enkidu. But that was a long time ago, and now they've added a lot of low stars that I like, and some 4 stars that I like, and even some other 5 stars that I like too. Not as much as Enkidu, but still. So there's just, you know, we got all those new bronzes. We got, you know, Chen Gong and Black Bart. You know, they added Mori. You know, all these things and stuff. So there's just been a lot, you know, and I've finally gotten, you know, Tesla and Beowulf and stuff. So it's just, there's a lot more competition now where, like, you know, if I had not acquired any new units and never added new units, then I probably would have grailed Enkidu, so. It'd be unlikely Romulus would be grailed, even though I super fucking like him. It's just that I'd probably grail Enkidu before him. So I feel like that's such a big barrier that I probably would never get around to grailing him. Now, if I had to, if I had like someone put a gun to my head and was like, you have to grail Romulus, I would not cry at all. It's not, oh no, I have to grail Romulus, right? Like I wouldn't mind at all. It's just, you know, I have Romulus on my main account. I don't grail 5 stars on my main account much, as I've said, and you know, Enkidu's ahead of him. So, again, if I had him on my ult account, then it might have happened, sure. But on my main, it's not too likely. I don't know if they never added Sir K, you know, or Green Knight or anything else that I liked, then yeah, I'd probably get around to it. But, sir, that is a water gun. But I really do like Romulus. But also, again, it's like, I just don't feel any pressure to grail 5 stars, even when I do really like them. Because they're good. They're already good, right? They don't gain that much from the grails. They're already super strong, right? And then their team cost is still really high. You know, it's really nice to grail low stars because they maintain that super low team cost, but then they get more boom for their buck for it, right? So it's kind of nice. Yeah, I don't generally feel much pressure to grail 5 stars. There were 4 stars, I'm always just tempted to just grail them to 90, and that's that. Like with Pinth, I'll probably grail Pinth someday, but just to 90. I don't think I'd ever grail her to 100. Yeah, I'm trying to get Bond for Mothman. What's probably going to happen is my main account's going to get Bond 10 first, and I'll summon that one. The dream is I have my own Bond 10 Angra, and then I summon my main account's Bond 10 Angra, right? That's like the dream, but I don't think... I'm stalling like a motherfucker, but I don't think I can stall that long, right? Now, I could stall that long if I actually play this account actively, but I barely touch this account, right? So, it's hard for me to get Bond on my Angra because I just don't play enough. Also, I forgot. I wasn't focusing on getting Angra Bond until recently, which was a huge mistake. Because look at George. George is in the same boat. I don't farm in this account much, but George is almost Bond 10, and that was just because I used him so much, right? And I wasn't even trying to get Bond on George. So if I had been trying to get Bond on George, George would be Bond 10 by now. And if I had been doing that with Angra this whole time, because I got the spoilers, or surprise, I got Angra like day 1 on this account, so I could have gotten him Bond 10 by now. I just I just don't, you know, farm. So Actually, Vol, you're actually wrong about that because, like, you have more command codes than this account has. This account has, I've like never finished, I've finished like one event on this account ever. Like, I never, this is like the most I've actually collected an event on this account, I think, since like the fucking Da Vinci event. I think this account might be older than yours, but this is a very unactive account outside of, you know, actually doing the main story and whatnot. Okay, we're fighting like every class ever. Like, I know you don't have very many command codes either. Like, you have fuck all. But like I think I've gotten like one Grail outside of the main story on this account ever, and I think I've gotten like just one or two random ass command codes here and there. Yeah, yours actually probably is older. I don't know. This account is pretty old though. I just didn't play it for a long time. Yeah, I have one of the poisons, I think. But I missed the other one. Yeah, well, the dot clear doesn't count. That's a 2-star command code. That's an FP. Hopefully I get the command codes from this event though. Okay, this is not the stage I thought it was, and I did not bring the right team. Thankfully, Brunhilde can carry this. Dude, I am so annoyed, right? I had so many summon tickets on so many accounts, and I could not get any copies of Brunhilde, right? But I got 2 copies of Kiara on my main, right? And then last second, my ult account, then all of a sudden gets a bunch of Brunhilders. It's just fucking stupid. And that's nice, like, I'm glad that happened, but I would have much preferred that I had gotten it on my main account. Shooting's okay for poison memes, but I mean, it's not really worth it because she doesn't, you know, aside from just poison doing poison things, she doesn't really benefit from it. Like, I mean, Robin gains the most from poison, just objectively. There's just, the math is obvious because he's the only one that gets such a large damage change based on poison. And then the poison still does damage like on anyone else. And the second best is probably Serenity, honestly, just because of her multiplier thing. But even that generally pales in comparison. But, you know, let's say you don't care about using Robin, you don't care about using Serenity, and you like using Shootin', then you could put the poison command codes on her, but honestly, I wouldn't. Like, unless you're specifically doing a dot setup, and there are a few boss fights where dots get a lot more mileage than normal, I wouldn't bother. She's gonna be better off, because Shootin' just, she doesn't need the poison, that's just a thing that she does. Right? It's just a bonus, right? You're way better off just giving her the standard stuff, like more crit damage, or more star gen, or more survivability, like the 1k heal command code, or the 4-star bomb command code, or just the bonus damage to servants, right? Right? Those things are just going to have a bigger impact on her performance than poison command codes. Like, that's pretty irrelevant, really. Because, yeah, Shootin' can just be a good old-fashioned damage dealer, right? Like, the poison is just kind of a random thing that she can do. I'll take this turn, though. So, George getting the beloved, but not so much with Lu Bu. Not a big surprise on that one. Got the Brunhilde special here. Because, like, you know, it's cool and all that I got really lucky at the last second and got some Brunhilde copies, but, like, although it's not really lucky when I consider how many tickets I had to go through to get to that point. Anyway, but, like, my ult account is not in a good way right now for leveling a random 4-star, let alone a Berserker. So it's like, because, like, my main has, like 100 Berserker gems, like, old Berserker gems, but my ult has, like, 5, right? So it's not so good. Oh yeah, and there's this other tiny detail where my main account has Ziggured, but my ult doesn't. So yeah, I kind of fucked that one up. That's probably the worst of it, honestly. Alright, Lupu, we're gonna need some damage out of that 3-star CE you got. Uh-oh. Speaking of ships... Oh, excuse me, the turn got cancelled because the way they killed George. You fools! Never mind, no ships for us. Sorry, Columbus, no happy smiles. I actually really like Columbus's NP, it's pretty cool. You know, honestly, that's a character I might grail some days, Columbus. That I swear though, I'm in the most obnoxious spot because like I'm so split. Like you'd think I would like have an answer to this. I really don't, but it's like I like having 70 versions of 3 stars because it's fun for videos, right? But on the other hand, it's also really fun to grail 3 stars. So, but then it's like, oh well, I could maybe, you know, grail them on one account but not the other. But then what if you need both? Like, because sometimes you want to do double Robin, right? But what if one of them's grailed, right? It's like, it's annoying. And you could level up another one, but nobody got the mats for that. Like, nobody wants to level Columbus twice. That always annoys me. Sometimes Columbus is actually not better than Blackbeard, because Blackbeard honestly gives the team a lot of survivability. Feels bad, by the way. But like that heal on Blackbeard is really awesome. Like it really is. Even if you're not with females, it's just a nice team-wide heal. It's very useful. If you're in a stage where you need a DPS rider, and especially an AoE rider, so then Blackbeard's already good, and then oh yeah, by the way, then he also gives your team a lot of extra survivability, right? To work with your Mash or work with your Hans or whatever. That's really good. Now, if you don't need a rider, you're not really going to bring Blackbeard just for the survivability that he gives the team. Like, you need a rider anyway. But it's nice. It really is nice. And then Blackbeard also can cast his Guts on turn 1, and his Guts has an unlimited duration, so then you can cast it again when it finally procs. That's all really good. Now, that being said, Columbus is really good too, because Columbus has, you know, a lot of damage up skills. He gives, you know, the NP up and stuff to the team. He's got an upgraded NP. He's got the star thing. He's got decent survival. Now, he doesn't have as much survivability as Blackbeard, but he still has survivability. Then he's got the battery. And oh my god, battery skills are so nice for budget units, because budget players generally don't have, you know, things like Waver and whatnot, so you're really struggling to get your NPs quickly. So I would say more times than not, Columbus probably is better, but there absolutely are times that I think Blackbeard is better, just because he's got that double Guts, and he's got the heal, and he's got good damage too, and all that, so. But overall, Columbus does have better damage, because Columbus has got a lot better normal card damage, and Columbus also has the higher health and all that too. But they're both good. And yeah, you can just use them together. They actually have very good synergy together. And if the stage calls for an AoE rider, you know, if you're a whale or something, or you're just going super ham, you may only need one DPS rider. But budget teams normally are going to need more than one of the thing that whatever the stage calls for. So you could easily just use them both. Although a lot of times you might want to do like Columbus and Medusa, because they both have batteries. If you need battery, then them both having battery is really good like that, because it accelerates what's going on, but you might need the survivability, so. Even to Drake, though, Columbus has a lot of unique stuff compared to her, although they do have a lot in common as well. But, you know, Columbus and Blackbeard basically have the same NP damage, but then Columbus has the better normal card damage, and I would say overall his skills kind of just will result in more damage in total, just because of, like, the crits and everything. Alright, we gotta do mission 19. That is kill dragon enemies. I'm surprised I haven't done that yet, but I guess I haven't been keeping up with this too much. What is this stage drop? Now, I've already beaten this stage many times within the, or at least sometimes within the requirements, so I don't have to do 1 to 3 star for this. I guess I'll bring someone that's, I guess I'll bring Martha just because I want the chainsaws. Although I don't think this stage actually drops that many chainsaws, but yeah, once I beat the stage once, then it don't matter. You know what I need to level? I need to level this thing. I'm not memeing for like with the restrictions that this account has. Sometimes they're gonna have a unit that's just gonna be there to be a bruiser, and they might be a unit like Ku where like they don't have enough buster cards to really want to go with this. So I don't think I'm gonna worry too much about Ku's NP here. Yeah, I'll go with this for now. All right, I need Onger Bond, George Bond, I guess Hans Bond, although we're not gonna use their Bond CEs anyway. But you know, what was the drops here? I think it was that and then the chainsaws. Somehow this account has a Yang CE, I think. Yep. How much do I care about the rare spawn? Not that much. It's not that big of a deal. The SQ on this account, we just save it for anytime they add new 3 stars, so whenever they add a new one, which I guess maybe someday they're gonna add Zifu, however you say the name, from this event, because that is obvious. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger hint that they're planning on adding them as a character, because they were a giant ghost as a boss, which means they didn't have like a sprite ready and stuff, and that happens all the time. And giant ghosts are normally gold, but it was just randomly silver. That's just such a massive hint that they're going to add that character as a 3-star archer someday. Like that, because that is so specific, and it's not even like with Kojiro. When you fight Saber Kojiro, they're kind of using Assassin Kojiro as like a placeholder, and they're just changing his class to Saber for like story reasons. And they've done that all the time. Like we fought like Ryder, Caesar, and stuff, and they just use Saber Caesar, and so the rarity is always the same and that kind of thing. But obviously with the giant ghost, that they don't have like another character like that. The fact that they made that a silver giant ghost just so randomly like that's a massive sign that that's going to be a 3-star archer someday. So maybe that's the next one, who knows. Although I tell you though, like with Qin Gong, like they didn't add Qin Gong for ages, and like all those new bronzes like Gareth, it took them like a year and a half to add Gareth. Right, from when they initially showed Gareth in the event and stuff. They did the rerun and she still wasn't playable. Yeah, Antoinette is harder to say if you're gonna add her or not. I think she's popular enough that they might add her someday, but yeah, that one was really hard to say because there's kind of just like the stock giant ghost. That did not go the way I wanted it to. And the music didn't die. This song is got like a very atmospheric start where it's like, I don't know, environmental noises and shit, so you can't hear it like the damn. I mean, I can like turn it way the hell up and then now you can hear it. But then like later in the song, it'll be way too loud, so it's one of those. I should have paid more attention and actually focused on NP gain a bit more, but this account's on Lost Belt 3. It's on Lee's students, which have been pretty much the hardest thing we've ever had to deal with on this account. Dude, freaking remember Horse Bindo and Landling? I don't know how many people here were in for the wild ride that was that boss fight, but that was so freaking hard with these restrictions, dude. That was fucked up. I want story replay so bad, though. I've said this before, but this truly frustrated me. I twinked the strategy a bit, and then we instantly beat it, which was really satisfying. But then I was like, I saw how I could have done it even better, right? And like, I so badly want to go back and like do that strategy again, but better. Although, you know what? I actually don't remember exactly what we changed. I don't remember. I know it was like Arash, Lubu, I think David on the front, and the idea was to get Arash 200% overcharge. But what we changed was the back row, and I don't remember exactly what we did. I know it had to do with like, I think it was like George, maybe Bedivere Ushi or something? I don't remember the exact order, but that was the thing that we changed was the back row. The way we approached the back row is what we changed, and it made it way better. Oh, I added Billy, that's right. Yeah, I think we did like Bedivere Billy or something like that. But there's no way, if I replayed that, it would take me forever to remember what I did. Because that was such a specific setup where I had to do such specific things. I do not fucking remember the strategy anymore. Unfortunately, we didn't have VODs back then that lasted forever, so I can't go back and see what we did, which kind of sucks, honestly. I was really proud of that, though. That's one of the most proudest things I've done. That was so fucked, dude. Fucking 3-star craft essences, man. Fucking garbage. Because like I've watched pretty much every other person that's ever done that boss fight budget, and they always have to use crazy fucking CEs and stuff like you know, the anti-berserker one and shit like that. And so I was actually able to do the stupid shit with those trash CEs, so that felt really good. But yeah, I don't have anything to remember it by, so that was unfortunate. But you know, if they ever do story replay, I'll make videos out of a lot of these. Seriously, I'll go back on this account and make videos for a lot of like the landmark bosses and stuff. Might take me a while to remember what the hell we did, but and like Corrupted Ushi was another crazy hard one, but that was mainly because what we had available to us at the time. You know, we had so few units leveled, that was a real problem. But if I went back and did that one now, it wouldn't be a problem. Like, no way. Oh, I guess I still need to kill dragons. Okay, this stage doesn't drop enough of that mat to care about bringing the bonus thing. I just like how you cannot have more starting NP than this with 3-star craft essences, and this gives you no damage, nothing. No, it's no attack up, no NP up, no crit up, nothing. It's just starting NP. It's very painful. Well, you know, there were some turns where like Horse Bindo couldn't kill you because when George was up, and then we used evade and stuff on certain turns and that kind of thing. But there definitely were turns where it's like, for the love of God, don't hit this guy. Especially when we would show up without enough NP gain. That was the worst thing about the fight. It wasn't even the fight. It was the oh my God, I remember now. Holy shit, I hate that fight. It was the stupid trash mobs before the boss, which are supposed to help you, right? They literally put them there to help you, right? To build up NP. But because we were using such trash, and then oh my god, that was the worst. Dude, that was the worst. Because you needed such specific things to happen. You needed them not to murder you, right? But you needed to get like Lubu's NP gain, and you need, oh my god, fuck that shit. If that account had command codes, by the way, that would have been a lot easier because you could have had things like the Merlin command code, right? That would make that so much easier. God, that was the worst, dude. Because you just get these bad runs. Because you had to stall. I was thinking you had to intentionally not kill the dolls for a long time. You had to stall to get like David's skill back and to get Arash's NP battery back and that kind of stuff. But then you give them enough time that they might kill you and stuff. Oh my god. I was so glad to beat that stage. That was so fucked. I'm actually not sure where Lee's students will size up, because we haven't done it nearly as much. I mean, we were doing that stage so much for like weeks, right? That took forever. We haven't done Lee's students nearly as much, but a big part of that is because I can just so clearly see that I just don't have the correct units level, right? I know this game pretty well, and although some people say otherwise, but I know what I'm talking about, and I can just see clear as day that I just do not have. Like, the correct units exist, I just don't have them, right? So I've kind of not even tried it that much. God, this whole sleep apnea thing is, like, I'm starting to recover from it slowly, but it takes a long time, and I'm just hoping I don't have another, you know, night where my allergies screw me. But, like, my head is, like, spinning still, man. It is rough. I can think clearly now, though, so that's good. But yeah, it's been slow going. Yeah, the dolls probably ended us more than Horse Bendo did, honestly. Yeah, I know, it's pretty silly that Phantom is only a might. And I'm serious, if you were playing a 1 to 3 star account, but you could use whatever craft essences you wanted, I don't think Phantom would make the cut at that point. But with only being able to use 1 to 3 star craft essences, I think he probably will make the cut. I think it's pretty likely that he will, but we'll have to see. The main thing is I need to level Phantom, and then I need to, I just need to boost skill ranks. I need to boost the skill ranks of, like, Curse Arm and 100 Face. That's the main holdup. And because I don't farm, I'm not really going anywhere with Gold Assassin Gems, so that's the main holdup for the account right now. Oh yeah, and Fuma. I should probably level Fuma. I kind of forgot about that. That would probably be a bigger help than Phantom, to be honest. Fuck. Yeah, I need to level Phantom and Fuma, I bet. So many Gold Assassin Gems. Can we please just have a... What I need is an event that is a lottery, and there are Assassin Gems in the lottery, and then a good stage to farm the lottery currency drops Gold Assassin Gems. That's what I need, right? Because that account is so behind on those, and I need so many. I am glad, though, I got the CE drop on this account for this CE, even though I can't use it because it's a 5-star craft essence. In case I ever decide to break the rules, like temporarily or something, it's nice to have a Star Bomb CE. Because if I ever wanted to, like, really, you know, set up Mori or something, you know, having a Star Bomb CE is really helpful for that, and I didn't have one up to this point. This account, I've always said, there's almost no point in this account breaking the rules, because this account doesn't really have, you know, it doesn't have, like, a staple 50... To this day, it does not have a CE like Golden Sumo or Drunken Jolter or, you know, Aerial Drive. It doesn't have anything like that, so, you know, it's kind of nice to grab a few CEs here and there in case I ever do need to break the rules. Yeah, unfortunately the raids were kind of limited in what you could, how much you could farm them if I remember correctly, but I guess they never have done a Case Files rerun though, have they? Wait, did I beat Mission 19? I wasn't paying attention. Hey, Marps. I should have done Art Buster quick. I would have killed it anyway, and I would have gotten more in peak game. Oh yeah, we got the Gouda Gouda Forgasha CE. Did we limit break it? I don't remember. That's kind of nice. That's a decent stand-in for that kind of a CE. I'd rather have a free one. It feels better to use a free CE than it does to use a Gacha CE like that. A limited one anyway. I'm gonna BRB real quick. I need to run to the restroom. I'm just gonna grab some water. I've gotten like my sleep quality is still pretty fucked, but I can at least sleep some. Like for a good week there, I basically just could not sleep properly. I would just wake up constantly because of my allergies, you know, and I couldn't breathe. But now basically there's still chunks at night where I can't breathe still, and I'm still like waking up constantly. But then after that I'll get a good chunk. So basically I'm trying to I dedicate like 14 hours to sleeping, and I normally do at least get 6 or 7 hours of decent sleep during that. It's fucked though, but it's getting better. I'm slowly getting my allergies under control, so hopefully I can get that sorted and be okay again. But okay, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. But, hopefully I can get this sleeping nonsense under control enough that, you know, I can wait until, like, the whole coronavirus nonsense passes and all that. Because I'd rather not go to the doctor, under these circumstances. I mean, it was so bad for a while there, though, that I was about to have to, and it was, you know, it was like I was hallucinating and shit, but thankfully I'm starting to get it under control. But it could get worse again, because, like, my allergies really aren't, you know, they're not going away. But there's definitely a chance in the future I'm gonna have to have, like, surgery or something, and if that happens, I'm not gonna be able to stream and stuff for quite a while. I'll be out of it for a good while. But we'll just have to see. I'm like I said, I'm hoping that I can, like, at least put that off for a while until everything's calmed down and safe and everything. But yeah, in the future, I might have to vanish for a bit. Because I am worried, because this is basically I've had huge problems with my allergies my whole life, but this is like the worst it's ever been when it comes to breathing. Like, even though it's getting better right now, I mean, I'm still consistently having problems. Like, when I finally, like, got up today, you know, I couldn't breathe out of half of my nose, and I could barely breathe out of the other half and stuff, and it's like, you know, it's really bad, right? That's really, you know, unhealthy for your sleeping, and it puts a lot of stress on your heart and stuff. So I'm going to have to address this at some point, so. I don't think I'd even be able to stream silent farming, because from what I understand, like, it is such a major surgery that, like, I wouldn't even be playing FGO, I don't think. Now, from what I've heard, the recovery from that kind of surgery is just, hell. But it may be as simple as, I'm not an expert in this. I've done a lot of research, but I don't know the details and, like, the ratios and, like, how much, you know. But, like, you know, there's a lot of, you can get a breathing machine that can really help you. So if you know you're having allergy problems, you can use the breathing machine. So I may just have to do that, and that just might be good enough. I'm hoping that's what I think that'll work. I just don't. From what I understand, like, you know, if you completely cannot breathe out of your nose, like, at all, like, if your sinuses are so small and, like, they're completely clogged, shooting air up your nose won't work very well, and you have to send air through your mouth, and some people can't do that. Like, some people, like, they're, like, wired where, like, trying to force you to breathe through your mouth will, like, freak you the fuck out, and you're not gonna get sleep that way either, and in that case, you're pretty much gonna have to have surgery. So we'll just have to see. But I'm hopeful that if I get a mask, that helps me breathe through my nose, and that works, I won't have to have surgery, and that'll be that. Because most people are able to get by with the mask. Like, that most people, that works, so. But like I said, I'm not a doctor, so like with my problem, I don't know, because I suspect I would need a mask to help me breathe through my nose, and I don't know if that would actually work for me or not. Like, if my nose is just completely blocked, I don't know if those masks will actually help or not. So if that's the case, then I might have to have the surgery. But I don't know, I'm not a doctor, so. Yeah, I think we turn one here. Yeah, right now it's pretty rough. I'm just it's hard for me to tell because, like, from what I understand, when you have a really long spurt of not being able to sleep properly, it takes a long time to recover. So right now I'm in this awkward situation where I'm not really sure if I'm just recovering from this massive amount of sleep debt that I'm in, or if I'm still having, like, serious breathing problems. I know I'm still having breathing problems, but I think I'm getting sleep anyway. It's hard for me to tell right now if I'm still having issues or if I'm just recovering, because seriously, it generally takes your body like days to recover just from like an hour of lost sleep, right? And I literally went for like 5 or 6 days there with basically not getting proper sleep at all. I was getting, you know, light sleep, but I was not getting any, you know, REM sleep. And that's really bad. And so it apparently takes an ungodly amount of time to recover from that. So I'm hoping this kind of shitty, like, feeling that I have, like I'm kind of lightheaded and that kind of thing, I'm hoping that's just the recovery, and I think it is, because during the period where I was just not getting proper sleep, I mean, I was insane. Like, I felt so much worse than I do now. And, like, you know, I wasn't dreaming, because you need to like, get proper dreams, you have to be in REM sleep. And I was obviously not dreaming at all, and I was, like, waking up constantly. I am dreaming some now, and I'm not waking up constantly. Well, actually, this is what's confusing me. There are periods where I'm sleeping right now where I am waking up constantly. But it's only, like, for, like, a few hours, and then, like, before or after that, I normally do get a nice long chunk of sleep. So there's still breathing problems, but I'm pretty sure I am getting REM sleep, so I'm pretty sure I'm, like, okay for now. So I think I need to just recoup. But yeah, I've really learned from this that sleep is really important, and not getting it is really bad. Who knew? It's kind of neat though. This always happens when I have like health problems and stuff. I always end up doing a lot of research in like whatever area it is in, and you always learn a lot of interesting stuff, and that's actually pretty enjoyable. It's not worth the trade-off, but it still is quite interesting. So. Like, I never knew that, like, when you go into deep sleep and stuff, your spine literally releases a bunch of fluid to basically wash your brain to, like, clear out toxins and stuff. I never knew that. That's really fascinating, right? So learning that stuff is pretty cool. All right, let me think here. I think... What if she doesn't do 12k? I guess we target her in case we don't do 12k. I'm having Nidocris NP because she's got the 2 art cards, so she can regen way faster. Did your hallucinations reach the point where DW buffed Proto 2? You know, it'll happen one day. I have more faith that they're gonna buff Proto-Ku than some of the other ones because I think the holdup is just the fact that they don't know what to do with prototype and they're scared to like characterize things and those kinds of things. I think at some point, you know, they're gonna do a prototype event or a story thing. Like, so I think it's going to happen at some point. So, my brain reacts pretty strangely to hallucinations because I'm a very logical person, and so I always immediately know I'm hallucinating. Like, I never even buy it for a second. Like, this is a really, this was too long ago that I don't remember. The only other time I remember hallucinating, I don't remember why, but I was in a hotel, and I was on a pretty high floor on the hotel. And I remember I like saw like a bear. And there's just no way a bear is going to be in like a really high floor in a hotel, right? That's just not even possible. And I remember just immediately being like, yep, I'm hallucinating. That's pretty much always how hallucinations are for me. Actually, there was one other time I hallucinated. There was another time where I was like really sick and I couldn't sleep, and I remember hallucinating then too. That wasn't even that long ago. The bear is part of the staff, yeah, obviously. Probably could have ordered that better, but I guess we maybe the now we'll do it that way. I don't think we're gonna insta kill it, but you never know. What if it was a real bear? I mean, it's just not even like, what can it fly? It's like, it's not gonna happen. Oh, so you know, you feel bad. It's not like you just casually see a bear and you feel fine. You know, when you hallucinate, you know, you don't feel well, you know, and like your vision's kind of warped anyway, so it's not too shocking when you know, see things that aren't right. So I actually saw people talking about Dyrmid and Proto-Ku today and about how they haven't been buffed and Ku is so much better and all that. And I saw so many people basically, everyone was basically saying Dyrmid is just awful, it's like a terrible 3-star. They're like, oh yeah, but at least Proto-Ku's good. Which is true, Proto-Ku is decent, you know, although I think some people overestimate how good, everyone's like, oh, but he's got that crit buff. It ain't that good, champ, right? It's not like he's got the best star absorb ever. His star gen himself is not very good. It's not that much crit damage. You're not gonna crit every turn you have it up. Hell, you might not crit at all when you have it up, right? Like, his crit buff is seriously not that good. But anyway, everyone is, I see this a lot where people act like not Proto-Ku, they act like Dyrmid is just awful, right? Like, oh, he's got 2 dead skills. First of all, he doesn't have 2 dead skills, he has 1 dead skill. And it's not even a totally dead skill, it's just a very, very bad skill, right? But that doesn't matter. It literally, you can have 3 dead skills if your NP is God tier. Right, what matters is what the unit actually gets done. Like it's like people want to look at something on paper and not actually think about like the practical effects of things, right? Because Dyrmid, like it or not, has a lot of good things going for you. All you really need to be a budget like boss killer, which is what a single target unit is a self-survival skill to survive an NP on your own, and to have like a pretty hard-hitting NP. That's all you need, and that's what he has. He's got an evasion skill, and then he's got an upgraded NP that also happens to be quick, which is the best one for just pure, you know, NP damage, and then, you know, it's single target. Those 2 things alone already make Dyrmid useful, and sometimes better than Proto-Ku, because there's a lot of setups where you're not going to get crits out of Proto-Ku. So it's like the NP damage difference between Proto-Ku and Dyrmid is all that matters. There's so many budget setups that's going to be the case, where all you need is like the Lancer to do enough damage to like break the health bar or whatever. That's all you need, right? You don't need the crits. They're not going to matter, and you're not going to have a setup that's going to give him crits, right? Now, yeah, sometimes you are going to be able to give him crits. Maybe you're using Hans with 2030 or something, right? Like, so yeah, of course sometimes Proto-Ku is going to be better. I would say overall Proto-Ku is better than Dyrmid. But Dyrmid keeps up just fine because he does have better peak damage on his NP, and that absolutely matters. He has the survivability. And against female bosses, the attack down is really nice, right? So it's like, acting like Deer Mid has nothing is just false. Also, Deer Mid removes buffs, and people act like, oh, but he removes them after damage and therefore it's worthless. No, that's bullshit, right? There are loads of bosses. They're gonna cast Guts, they're gonna cast a huge crit up or an attack up, or they're gonna have a battery skill that's gonna be ticking. You know, there's all kinds of like obnoxious ass buffs that it's really nice to remove. Yeah, it's nice if you remove the buffs first, because they might have a large defense up, they might have evade, they might have invulnerability. But like, let's say the boss has invulnerability, and then you're gonna NP with Deer Mid, and then you're gonna NP with Protoku. It's still good that Deer Mid removed the invulnerability. But there's gonna be so many buffs that you're gonna remove that's gonna be useful to you that aren't evade or invulnerability. And then it doesn't matter if you move it first or not, right? Like, because again, it removes Guts, and that's already, you know, really big. It removes the heal things, it removes, you know, crit buffs, attack buffs, all that stuff. That's all really good, right? So the buff removal on Deer Mid, you can act like it's not a big deal. It is. Like, go fuck yourself. It's a big deal. It's niche, absolutely. So it's not going to come up all the time, and that's why I would say Protoku is absolutely better than Deer Mid, because Protoku has more of like across-the-board value. But so basically, Deer Mid's got buff removal that absolutely matters sometimes, and budget teams don't have, you know, ways of doing that often. And sometimes they're fighting an archer or something, so, you know, there you go. Because, yeah, you have, you know, Medea, but yeah, she's going to do great against an archer, guys. So yeah, he's got buff removal, he's got self-survivability, he's got, you know, good NP nuking, and then he's got a bit of extra Stargin and the attack down for females. That's, you know, not that great, but it's something, right? So acting like Deer Mid is bad is just false. It's just false. Like, yeah, he's not half it. Of course he's not as good as someone like Ushi, because Ushi's got all that and more. She's got a survival skill, she's got evade, she's got an upgraded single target NP, and then she's got attack up and quick up and NP gain up, right? Yeah, of course Ushi's way fucking better. But Deer Mid is still good enough to get the job done. He's still a good 3-star. Deer Mid is light years better than things like Gilius and Phantom and Benkei and Jekyll and Hyde. Like, he is so much better than them. Because they're so bad that they can't even do their fucking job, be it quickly or not, right? They just can't get their job done half the time. Where for most of the content, you know, Deer Mid can get the job done. Not well, not as, you know, good as some of the other units, but he's good enough, right? So, I mean, Deer Mid is good. Other Lancers are just better. You know, I see so many people, though, throw Deer Mid in with units like Hyde, and that's just ridiculous. That just shows such a lack of, like, testing and actually using the units. That's just absurd. Yeah, Jinkei needs a buff pretty bad. Her thing is, she can do the damage, but she doesn't do enough damage to warrant all the negatives, right? Because, like, for instance, I did a Jinkei setup for, like, for the mammoth fight with Ivan, right? With a, you know, pure budget supports and stuff. But it was way harder for her than, like, you know, like 100 face. I also did 100 face, you know, level 70 with pure budget supports. And the fight was easy, you know, it was trivial, it was nothing, it was like no problem. But doing it with Jinkei was a pain in the butt, right? Which, that's not even that hard of a fight, which kind of shows the problem. Because, like, Jinkei has, like, okay damage for a low star, but it's not even the best damage. But then she has almost nothing else going for her. Where 100 face has all kinds of things going for her. Alright, we need mission 20. Yeah, I will say, one of the hardest things with this whole sleep nonsense, is I can feel it really big right now, is I get fatigued so easy. Like, oh my god, I just get, like, wiped out so fast. Like, I am so pooped right now. But, it is what it is. And it's getting better slowly, so I'm hopeful. Alright, we gotta do Deep Grove. I'm trying to remember which stage that is. I want to say that's, actually, I don't know what the fuck that one is. I think it might be this one. But that's weird that I haven't done that stage enough times. Let me just check. I can look which one it is. I think it is this one, though, off memory. Yep, it's this one. That is so weird that I haven't done this enough times to have beaten that mission yet. So I probably need to do it like 2 times, maybe. Yeah, I got it 2 times, okay. Beating up some dragons. You know what's sad? So look at this. I never made this comparison before because they're different classes. I just didn't really think about it. So Jin K, let's think about this, right? She's a single target unit, right? Now she's an assassin, but you know you can compare her to like the equivalents of like Ushi and that kind of thing, right? So she's got a single target upgraded in P, right? And then no survivability, but then she's got like a damage up skill, okay? And then you have Ku. I think you might see where this is going. He also has an upgraded single target quick NP. He also has a damage up skill. And his goes up to 50% and for 3 turns, but it's 20 to 50, right? 20 to 50. And then he has a massive amount of survivability and then also removes debuffs. Like, it's just bullshit, right? Now, sure, and this is fine. I don't think, because FGO is not a PvP game, right? I legitimately don't think all the units need to be like perfectly balanced against each other, right? It's nice when you have like apples and oranges. You know, like I think Shiki and 100 Face are balanced well against each other. They both do well as art assassins, but they have different pros and cons. You know, that's nice. But you know, there's a lot of lore in the game, and you kind of expect things like Gilgamesh to be stronger than maybe your typical AoE archer. That's fine. But you want units to be good enough. That's the thing. It's not every 3-star needs to be as good as Ku. That's okay. I get it. It's kind of obvious that you want Ku to be kind of above the cut, right? Because he's such a powerful character in lore and he's popular and blah 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 blah, right? That's fine. But it's not really about being as good as Ku. It's about like being in the ballpark and like even doing what you're supposed to do as a unit, right? That's the thing. Like, it's okay for there to be some unevenness, right? But there's like, Jesus Christ, you've got like fucking Jekyll and Hyde and then 100 Face, right? It's like, this is silly, right? Like, it's okay if Jekyll and Hyde never gets as good as 100 Face. That's okay, right? But like, can we get like a reason to use him at all, right? Like, that would be nice. Yeah, then you have Phantom. I mean, just, God. Somebody send help. I've always said there's always going to be a top tier. There's always going to be a top tier that's better than everyone else. The thing is, you don't want the top tier being, light years ahead of the mid tier. That's really bad. And then it is possible to not have a trash tier, right? There are a lot of games that actually do accomplish that where no unit is complete trash, right? So it'd be really nice if they could get to the point where there's no complete trash units. Now, yeah, they might be way worse than like, Merlin, but that's fine, right? You want like a standard bar, like they're good enough to do what they're designed to do, and then there you go, right? And then you want your best units in the game, your Merlins, your Castor Artorias, your Ku Alters, your Gajunas. You don't want them so much better than like the mid tier that it's like a joke, right? And it's like not fair. Now, unfortunately, we don't live in that world, and like the gap between like the top tier and the mid tier and stuff is massive, but I got kind of weird sleep. I mean, it's gonna be a while before I think I get like a good night's sleep, but I'm getting sleep at least now. It's really, like I said, it's really hard for me to gauge my recovery because it takes so long to recover from a large amount of lack of sleep. Especially because I was getting basically no REM sleep, and like recovering from that takes a very long time. So it's hard for me to say like, oh, did I get good sleep last night or not? Because I'm not gonna, even if I get good sleep, I'm not gonna wake up and feel great. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So, but I do feel better than I did. Like when I was in the heart of it, right? I felt so bad. So I'm definitely doing better than that. I'm just worried because at any second my allergies could put me right back where I was. It's not like I haven't learned some trick or anything to like stop what happened from happening again. It could totally happen again. So that's why I am going to need to see a doctor. I'm just hoping not to do that until the coronavirus is over. But that's going to be a while, so... Actually, the coronavirus is never going to be over, but once we have like a vaccine and all that. You don't have to worry about not having a dream. A lot of times if you think you don't dream, it's because you just don't remember them. A lot of people, and I'm actually like that, I often do not remember my dreams. But basically, if you're getting REM sleep, you are dreaming, if you remember it or not. And the thing is, if you, let's say you've gone a long time without noticing that you're dreaming, but you don't feel like absolute ass, you're fine. Right? Like if you go a night without getting any REM sleep, you will know immediately. Like you will feel very bad. It's not like, oh hey, I didn't sleep quite as much as I'm supposed to. Like you feel like absolute trash. So. And there is a type of dream you can have that's not from REM sleep. It's basically like a pseudo hallucination. It's where you're barely asleep and you're almost not asleep and you're kind of just like thinking, right? And it kind of is a dream. I know that's a thing that can happen, but like those feel very weird. They're not really your typical like full-on dream, and you can kind of phase in and out of those like crazy. But like if you have like a full-on dream, those are in REM sleep. Well, the thing is, the city I live in, which I am not going to disclose, is not in a good way right now. I don't really... between the riots and the pandemic, my city is in a very bad state, and we're pretty much the worst spot in my whole state for the pandemic. So I don't want to go outside at all right now. Yeah, my city is not doing so hot with the pandemic, so like our rates are quite bad. Although that's a lot of major cities right now. Major cities have been doing quite poorly with this. Not all of them, though. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Yeah, it's really sad when I look at the statistics for my state, because basically no one is getting the virus in my state except for this city. So I'm like, okay, well, we're doing great, guys. Okay, gotta do this one more time, I think. Also, I'm really like paranoid of getting it because I handle like the common cold very poorly because of my allergy problems. I pretty much always get like bacterial infections and stuff on top of them. So I really do not want to get the coronavirus because I'll surely get a bacterial infection on top of it. And that generally has a lot of problems that come along with it. So I'm trying very hard to avoid it. Also, the last thing I want to do is get it myself and then pass it on to someone else, and then like, you know, I'd give it to Tusk, and then Tusk could give it to God knows who, and then, you know, I could kill somebody. I don't want to do that. So the other thing, I could get it, not know for a long time, or I could be one of those people that are asymptomatic and never know that I get it, and then I could pass it on to Tusk, and then maybe Tusk is asymptomatic, and then he gives it to like, you know, a bunch of people, and then, you know, then somebody dies, and it's not great. Well, let's not get into that. I don't think anybody wants to talk about the virus when watching Twitch, so but I don't blame them. Chat, be honest. Don't be overly pessimistic, chat. I've asked this before, but I want a straight answer from chat. What do you personally, do you think DW is ever going to add story replay mode? And do you think they're going to add like any like significant new game mode, like that's permanent to the game? The fact that so many people are saying no is just sad. That's just sad, dude, because like I actually think they will. I think it's going to be a long time, but I think they will. But it's like, they just can't, you can't add, like, it's insane. I mean, I don't know, the thing that scares me is it's honestly ludicrous that they've gone as long as they have without adding, like, a proper game mode to the game. They're, like, the only gacha game that's done this, other than, like, there are some gacha games out there that basically have no gameplay, but out of all, like, you know, Arc Knights and Epic 7 and Azure Lane and Grand Blue Fantasy, you know, all of those games add new game modes and stuff, and they add, like, permanent additions to the game to try to make the game better and give people more things to do and stuff, right? FGO is the only one that doesn't, right? And it's nuts. Like, it's just nuts. I truly do not understand how this game has gone on for 5 years and they've never added a new game mode to the game. It's just nuts. Like, I mean, this game would have died so hard if it wasn't for the Fate IP. And I know everybody says that, but it's like, holy shit. It's just a shame. Because it's not like the game deserves to die, because it has good core gameplay. It has really pretty deep mechanics. You know, they don't give you content to make it deep very often, but they have deep mechanics that, you know, the way the skills work and the deck works. There's a lot to do with the deck and everything, right? And you know, the people that do the challenge quests do a great job. The artists do a great job. They do a good job at the writing. They didn't originally, but they do now, right? Like, there's so much good to say. It's just they just do not add game modes to this game. It's just crazy. The thing is, that's bullshit, because a lot of people don't just play for the story and the characters. Like, that's nonsense. Why do you think every other game actually bothers to make their gameplay better? Why do you, I'm serious, I answer. Why do you think every other game bothers? They try to make as good as characters as possible. They try to have as good as stories as possible. You know, most people play Art Knights for the characters and the story too. See, that's not, FGO has not proved that you don't need it, because you can always be more successful. And it's not like they're the only successful game, and they're actually starting to be less successful. And like, you know, Grand Blue Fantasy has kept up with them this whole time, right? It's just like, that's one thing I'll give credit to Epic Games. I'll give them credit for this. You know, Fortnite was on top of the world, and they didn't get complacent, right? Being complacent is death, and it always will be. No, a game will always die if you get complacent. It might, you know, FGO has been carried, you know, because of the story and stuff, because it's an objective thing. If you have, yeah, having good characters is good, having good story is good, you know, those are obviously positives that are going to help your game out. Of course, no one, you know, these things are not mutually exclusive. But you know what's even better? To have good characters, good writing, good story, and also have gameplay that's worth a fuck. And that's the thing, is they have gameplay that's worth a fuck. When they bother to make good boss fights, the gameplay is very good. And I actually say for the most part, they put a lot of the other games to shame. You know, most of the other games can't compete with, like, the boss fights in Nero Fest and the boss fights in Gil Fest and, you know, the Zeke boss fight and Demeter. And, you know, when they're guys that design the challenge quests, they do make good gameplay. And the thing is, that's one of the biggest things keeping the game afloat. I don't think you realize how many people would quit if they didn't have those challenge quests and they didn't have bosses like Zoot. I would never even started playing the game if it wasn't for, like, the boss fights in Camelot and stuff. There's a lot of fucking people like that. And those people are starting to be fed up, though. It's kind of obvious. The amount of demand for this is getting larger and larger. You're not really making an argument here. You're basically saying FGO does okay with just focusing on story and characters, which I agree, but that does not mean that it's not going to do better if they actually do better with the gameplay as well. And they're not going to last forever. And like, you can, it's obvious, their market share has gone down dramatically. Like, this is obvious. If you look over the last 5 years, if you look at FGO's market share, it's dropped like a fucking rock. Now, they're still doing well, sure, but they are not, like, fending off the competition like they used to. Not at all. Not even close. And you think it's going to get better? No, it's going to get worse. Because the competition's getting smarter and smarter. That's the thing. It's not like FGO and DW and Type Moon and Aniplex. It's not like they have the magic, you know, genie in the lamp that they're the only ones that can make good character designs, and the only ones that can have good writing, or they're the only ones that can be based on an established IP, or the only ones that can make good gameplay. They're not. And other devs are figuring this out. There's a reason why certain things in the industry are starting to become standard, because they're working, right? Like, it's become standard to have a safety net, because it works and it's actually better in the long run. It's becoming standard to have gameplay that's not just like, you know, match 3. Because it works and it does better. The games that like have like the complete brain dead gameplay, those don't really fly anymore. And it's because having things like why do you think Arc Knights has kind of just hit the scene out of nowhere? Arc Knights isn't even based on an established IP, and Arc Knights kind of came out of nowhere and has just started making money, you know, like crazy. And it's because it has surprisingly interesting gameplay, and it also has good character designs, and it has good story, and it has a fucking safety net, and you know. And so it's like, so eventually, imagine if Art Knights was a popular IP. Imagine that, seriously, because Fate's a popular IP. That's a huge leg up. You know, they're pretty much getting carried by having such a popular IP, right? And a lot of the other popular IPs that come along, I have to say, generally drop the ball. They don't do as good of a job as Art Knights, not at all, or Grand Blue Fantasy. Like I'd say the two that give FGO the biggest like run for their money in terms of like way they're designed and the money they make is definitely Grand Blue Fantasy and Art Knights, and like that Dragon Ball Z game does pretty well. But again, I think that's because of the IP. But like at some point, someone's going to come along and they're going to have an IP that's just as popular as Fate or more popular than Fate, and they're going to do as good of a job with making the game as Art Knights does, and they're going to fucking destroy them, right? And like, they're already having trouble with those kinds of things. And as time goes on, the only way they're going to, maintain their market share and their player base and stay relevant is if they adapt. I mean, this is just basic stuff. You have to adapt to survive. And FGO is not adapting at all. That's the biggest problem I have with FGO, is in 5 years, they haven't changed at all, right? They have not changed at all. And it's just sad, and it's wasteful, and it's so much wasted potential. Art Knights is not carried by the ads. That's bullshit. Like, there's two major things that feed into FGO's position right now. First off is the IP. If it wasn't for the Fate IP, FGO never would have gotten off the ground in the first place. This game was such a fucking shit show when it launched. It would just be dead. And the other thing is, back when it launched, the market was not nearly as established. It was a lot more niche. Mobile gaming has become in the last 5 years, mobile gaming has become so much bigger than it was. I mean, just massive difference. But so they got their roots in early, right? And that's a big deal. If FGO released today, even in the better state that it's in now, like, it's not as a complete shit show as it was originally. But if FGO released as it is now, even though it's an established IP and everything, I don't think it would do very well. Like, if FGO came out right now, I think it would fail pretty miserably, because people are used to a much better standard. And that's a big part of why I think some of the other like games that are trying to get carried by their IP aren't doing so hot. Let me switch around my CE here. It baffles me though, people that like argue against trying to make the game better and act like the game doesn't need to be better, and like there's a problem with like adding optional content. Like, it's just silly. It's like being completely unable to take any form of criticism and act like everything's perfect when it's so blatantly not. Because, for example, there's a lot of things that I don't personally care about, but I still think it's obvious that they'd be a good addition to FGO or any other game. Like, for example, I'm normally not too into farming and progression and all that stuff. I don't really care about that. I care more like hardcore mechanics and gameplay and boss fights and those kinds of things. But I know a lot of people care about those things. So like, having things like that in the game for people is fine. I can see why that does well. And for example, I don't like very many like, waifus and shit, especially when there's like no depth and all that. But I don't mind that they exist, right? It's like the fact that other people want those things, good for them, right? I see a lot of people, like if it doesn't pertain to them personally, they act like there's no use for it, right? Which is just so short-sighted and foolish. That's a big snake, by the way. Oh yeah, AP costs are way too high. That's definitely a problem in FGO. Like literally everything worth a fuck costs 40 AP, which is just ridiculous. And then it's like, you know, Epic 7 does the whole, I think Arc Knights and Epic 7 do this. Well, what Epic 7 does is if you fail a stage, you don't even lose the AP. So it doesn't punish experimenting. If there's a tough boss, and you're like, well, what if I could do it with this silly setup, or with my favorite units, or with 3 stars, or whatever. You're not, if it doesn't work, you're not punished, right? You lose no AP in Epic 7 for failing a stage. And in Arc Knights, you lose 1 AP, right? Like if the stage costs 19, you'll get 18 of it back, but you'll lose. That's basically nothing though, because while you're in the stage, your AP is regenerating, right? So essentially, you're not losing anything. But yeah, I mean, FGO is just so behind the times and everything. It has no safety net. You know, it has no story replay, which that's like the dumbest fucking shit ever. That's insanity that they don't have story replay. You know, they don't have, like, their AP costs are like, it's like caveman shit, man. Like they're so behind the times. They're like a mobile game from, you know, fucking 5 years ago, right? Where everyone else is like adapting. Like Grand Blue Fantasy has done a pretty good job of adapting. They still do a lot of stuff that I don't like care for, but they've adapted really well. I know, we don't even have accounts. FGO doesn't even have goddamn accounts. It's ridiculous. Like, we're a fucking dinosaur over here. I've actually noticed something, and I even saw this on the Reddit for FGO. So many people, they're like admit to the fact that FGO is the only mobile game they've ever played or even looked into, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. But because of that, they're so unaware of like just standards, right? Like it's crazy. Like having an account and having a safety net and being able to replay content, right? It's not like, that's not asking for much, right? That's like bare minimum stuff. That's like basic game design. But I see so many people, they only play FGO, so they're so unaware of just like how fucking behind this game is. Like we're like a fucking dinosaur stuck in a goddamn, you know, pit, like tar pit. Actually, basically all gacha games have accounts now. It's all, guess which ones don't? The really fucking old ones. You will not find a game that's been made in the last few years that does not have, like, you can't link it to like Google or Twitch or Facebook. Like, that's not a thing anymore. It's only the really old ones. And most of the really old ones have updated and made it so they do have, you know, proper account systems. Like all of the big boy mobile games all have account systems except for FGO. Yeah, I don't think FGO should force you to tie your account to like Facebook or Google or, you know, what, or, you know, their own, you know, service. They make it, you know, I wouldn't force people to, oh god, we have level 1 U. Oh boy. But yeah, I would not force people to do it. But it needs to be an option. Emiya solo, pretty much. That's silly. Like, why do I even start with this? Like, why would you ever argue for a game to be worse? There's literally no reason to ever argue for a game to be worse, right? That doesn't make any sense, right? And a game being story-driven is irrelevant. That's a nothing burger, right? Because it's not mutually exclusive. I don't know how this is hard to get through people's heads. There's nothing about having a good story that makes you mutually exclusive to having gameplay, right? And especially optional gameplay. People act like I'm talking about like some forced, you know, like Dark Souls gauntlet that you have. Like, what? Like, nobody does that. Like, look at all the, like, look, what's that Annihilation in Arknights? That's completely optional, right? Like, that's how it always is. You know, like, the boss mode in Epic 7, completely optional, right? And you don't even, hell, any rewards that you can get out of the boss mode in Epic 7, you don't even need to do very well. You can you can suck balls, and you can still get, like, the rewards from the boss mode. You know, the other stuff is just for fun. Right, there's like if FGO, for example, added, let's say, New Game Plus mode. That's a good. Let's say they added New Game Plus mode, so you could go back and replay Fuyuki, right? And then, like, when you fight, you know, Ku Alter in America, you know, he's kind of like on par with what you would have seen from like a Lost Belt boss fight or whatever, right? How is this going to hurt anything? Right, it's not like, it'd be one thing if they're like, oh my god, you have to do this, or you're not allowed to grail units or something, or you can't play events if you don't do New Game Plus mode. You know, obviously, I would agree that would be stupid, right? If they added a New Game Plus mode, and you had to do it to, like, do new events, or to, like, unlock a unit, or to get command codes or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, that's kind of dumb, right? But nobody's arguing for that. Literally no one's arguing for that. There's nothing about a game having a good story that means, oh yeah, the gameplay needs to be, you know, bad or really limited. That's the main thing. It's not like FGO has bad gameplay. FGO is perfectly good gameplay. I would say its boss fights, when they actually bother to make one, are significantly better than the boss fights you see from other mobile games. And hell, they're better than a lot of PC games and shit. Like, very much so. I think Z and, like, you know, Leonidas from Guildfast, I think those boss fights are way fucking better than boss fights in a lot of other games. They're really well done. So there's no issue with, like, FGO and not having good gameplay. It's got good gameplay. They just don't give you the option to do it. It's like, yeah, you can do it for a week and then never again. And then when you beat the story, you can do it never again. Why would you ever argue against people having the option to fight interesting bosses for fun? Like, what is wrong with you, right? Like, that's stupid. Oh no, the game's about story and farming, right? Like, yeah, never mind all the people that don't care about that, which there's a lot of, and the fact that if there's optional bosses, or you can just replay a challenge quest without a time limit, like, because we already have boss fights. You know, they add a boss fight every event. They add a hard boss fight every event. Imagine you just take out this arbitrary, you're only allowed to do the boss fight for 1 week thing. You just take that out. You just remove that. That has no effect on anyone. It's not like, oh, guys, they made it so you can play the challenge quest in the summer event right now. You can replay it whenever you want. And now all of a sudden, I have leprosy and I can't farm anymore. It's like that. What? That doesn't happen. That will literally affect nothing. Like, it has no effect on anything, and it would not affect development time of new units. It's not like the writer. Nasu's not going to get writer's block because you're allowed to fight Paul and Eric Bloodaxe again, right? That doesn't happen. It's not like Nasu's going to get a hand cramp, right? It doesn't work this way, right? These are completely mutually exclusive. And there's absolutely no reason why you should want a game not to at least give you the option to replay boss fights that they already made. Like, I could see the argument of be like, yeah, I don't really want DW to take up a lot of development time. You know, I don't want them to take development time away from, like, making new units and more story in order to make, like, more optional boss fights. Right? I don't care about those enough. I'd rather them focus. The thing is, again, they're not mutually exclusive because the writers aren't the ones coding the boss fights anyways. The artists aren't the ones coding like if you make a new game mode, let's say they added like some kind of, like, you know, like dungeon mode where you like you go into a dungeon, you move around a map, and you can fight different enemies, and there's like, maybe it's like, you know, Slay the Spire or something, or you could do a lot of roguelike elements in this game where you, like, move out throughout a map and you acquire different power-ups that affect your units for that run specific. You could totally do something like that, right? It's not like if you do that, you know, the artists don't suddenly stop being able to draw, right? It doesn't work that way, right? It's two different fields. And again, I get the argument where it's like if they added, like, this, like, dungeon mode, right? And if it was, like, necessary and you had to do it, some people may not enjoy it, right? So sure, make it optional, or make it like any degree of of requirement from it should be pretty casual, right? If you want to go deeper and farther, that's where you make it really hard. That's fine. And legitimately, I would be, if they actually added content, as much as I like challenging content and interesting gameplay and reasons to use my units, I'm like, oh hey, I just leveled up, you know, a new unit to 10, 10, 10. I'd like to use them for something. You know, what a concept. You know, it'd be nice to have something to do, right? But that stuff to do, if it was actively making it harder for like new players to farm, right? Yeah, sure, I'd say that's dumb. But no one asks for that, and none of these games do that. Like literally, none of these games do that. It's not like in Epic 7 when they added the boss mode. It's not like all of a sudden it became harder to do the hunts, right? It doesn't work that way, and I don't even know why anybody thinks it would work that way. It's nuts. Like everyone, I saw people like that were against what I was saying a while ago, acting like I'm trying to turn FGO into Dark Souls. That's fucking stupid. Like that's just stupid. That's like somebody that's never even played Dark. Like what are you talking about? Right? Like Dark Souls is just ground up. Is just a game about like dealing with a difficult world, difficult mobs, difficult bosses and stuff. That's just what the game is. That has nothing to do with like game modes. This is like the oldest thing in the world. It's not like, look at DDR, fucking Dance Dance Revolution has game modes, right? And some are easy and some are hard. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, this, it's not like it's just because if someone asks for, guys, you know, I think it'd be cool if you could just fight Zeus again, right? Oh God, oh, calm down, Mr. Dark Souls. Like, what? This has nothing to do with anything, right? It's irrelevant. It's completely silly. It's completely silly to have all these. They already put in the effort, right? They already made the bosses. They already made Zeus. They already made Gwen. They already made Lion King. They already made Lee. They already made Mothman. They already made all these boss fights. They already got the music. They already did the art. It's just not replayable because fuck it. Right, it's probably because they can't figure out the spaghetti code, let's be real. But for whatever fucking reason, you know, they already have these bosses. They're already there. And literally every other game, I can't think of any other mainstream game, you know, Hero Collection game now that you can't replay the story. I can't think of any. Now, a lot of those other games, there's not as much reason to replay the story because those games are more gear-based and like old content becomes irrelevant and blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, in Arknights, you can just replay the bosses just cause. There's not a lot of reason to, but you can, right? Just for fun, right? You know, whoop-de-doo. Like, it's insane to me that there's any backlash to this. And there's actually been a lot. I remember, like, Reddit, like, lost their mind when they saw me, like, advocating for these kinds of things. It's like, it's just silly. It's just silly. Asking for, you know, game modes to give you more things to do for fun in a video game. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's again, like, somebody explained to me how Nasu's gonna get writer's block because DW added a challenge tower into the game, right? Like, what? And it's not like, again, this is not a rare sentiment, and not everyone feels as I do, obviously, but not everybody, you know, feels the opposite either, and we're okay with the other side. It's like the options are nice. What a concept. I know a crap load of people, especially people that have been playing the game for a long time, that they're like, you know, it's like, it's, you know, they add a new unit, and especially when they're single target, because single target units are, it's just, I don't even understand how this is an argument, because single target units are aimed at challenging content generally. And there's a lot of units in this game like that. There are so many units in this game that are aimed at challenging content. They're not for farming. They're not good at it, right? And vice versa too. And so when you, let's say they add a new unit. Let's say they add, you know, waifu number 99, right? So they add waifu number 99 into the game. And she happens to be very much aimed at challenging content, and she's not going to be very good for farming. But she'll be very good for challenging content, right? For like challenge quests and main story fights and all that. She'll be super, super good. We have loads of units in the game like this. We have so many units in the game like this. So many. Right? And so let's say you really like waifu number 99. You're like, wow, she's fucking awesome. Love the voice acting, the character design, all that stuff. And you've saved up your SQ, right? And you got MP3 waifu number 99, right? MP3, and then you get her to level 90 and 10, 10, 10, then you grail her and all that. You're like, okay, I want to go, you know, test this out. Well, too fucking bad, because you got a farming node against a dragon with like 100k health. But it drops event currency though. Aren't you happy? Ain't this worth it? Aren't you having fun yet? You could beat this with Geronimo, but it's a great testing ground for this new unit, totally, right? Never mind the countless boss fights that they already made that would be awesome for testing this unit out. No. You don't get to do any of those. And never mind, like, you know, wanting to here's an example. I got my chair, you know, fucking sucking the story's dick here. If you like the story so much, imagine getting to actually relive the story. Like, for example, my favorite moment in the story that I've ever had was when I was on stream and, like, chat was kind of, you know, translating as we went, you know, and we were at the Zeus boss fight, you know, and, you know, Kentucky Bot, which I wasn't a huge fan of. I didn't like mind Kentucky Bot. I just didn't want Kentucky Bot to be the one to kill Zeus or anything. I thought that'd be kind of silly. Right, and have that moment where Kentucky Bot attacks Zeus, they have the really stylish picture, and I'm like, oh god, here we go, it's Kentucky Bot nonsense. Right, but no, it's actually, you know, summoning, you know, Ares, which is like awesome, and is like way more thematic and way more fitting and everything, and then, you know, turns into Mars, and then the music, and then Romulus is that, you know, that's literally my favorite part in all of FGO's story. It was the whole Zeus bit, right? The music was great, the character moments were great. You know what an integral part of that is? The actual boss fight. You know, with the music and the voice acting and you know, Zeus calling Ares Mars and all that, right? Like, that's such a large part of that. And if you're really into the story, which, you know, newsflash, I'm probably more into the story than most people because I'm a massive fucking Nasuverse nerd. It'd be kind of nice to be able to, like, read the story again and fight the boss again and then read the story after. Instead, you get to read the story, black screen, and then all of a sudden Zeus is dead. It's like, what? Right? It's silly, right? So even from a story standpoint, if you play the game mostly for story, it'd be really nice to be able to, I don't know, replay the fucking story. Who knew? Like, from like a pure story standpoint, being able, like for example, there's a lot of single player games that I have like on Steam, where I mostly enjoy them for the story, but I still like the gameplay or the music and blah 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 blah. But like a lot of times I want to go revisit them mostly for the story, right? And I can actually do that. What a concept! I can actually go back and replay the fucking story again. I don't have to buy the game again. I don't have to make a new account or get a new phone or play it on a fucking emulator. I don't have to farm all over. I don't have to do any of those things. I can just play the story again because, you know, basic ass game design. I don't even know how this is a conversation. I honestly don't even know how this is a conversation. I feel like the only people that argue against this are fanboys that want to act like FGO is perfect. It's just crazy to me. Like like I said, I can understand arguing against wanting like the whole game like to be ground up, to be designed around really difficult content, and at no point have I ever advocated for that. Not even once have I advocated for that. I'll do you one better. I wouldn't even care if you got to like the Zeus boss fight and there was a skip button and you didn't have to do the gameplay section if you didn't want to. That would not bother me. And you know what else wouldn't bother me? If there was a fucking New Game Plus version that made Zeus even harder. That wouldn't bother me either. But for some fucking reason, the other side acts insulted if there's even a mention of like there being optional ass content that's, you know, requires you to use your brain. Oh no. Right? It's just silly to me. Like, now I'll say this. If they added, like, a skip button, like, if you could just skip over a boss fight, I would never click that button. I would never click that button. And I wouldn't want to watch, like, a streamer that clicked that button either. That's because I have this thing called freedom, and I don't have to. And someone else that doesn't care can click that skip button. Or you can enjoy watching someone that skips boss fights and stuff. It is fine. You know, if you want to play the game purely for just, you know, carrot on a stick, my waifu, that's fine. But And here's the thing, I know a lot of people that really like my waifu stuff, right? But then they want to use their waifu on something meaningful, right? They're like, yeah, I invested so much into my waifu, and it's not that fun 3 turning farming stages with Arash instead, right? No shit, right? It's like, seriously, no shit. Let's say, let me think of an example. Let's say your favorite character is Musashi, right? Musashi's really good now, but you know what she's not good at? Farming. So if you really like Musashi, and when it's like, if you like farming and you like being optimal with farming as well, you can have that. You can have your cake and eat it too, right? You can be like, okay, I'm doing farming, so I'm gonna bring a Rosh, and I'm gonna bring, you know, whatever AoE saber that's gonna loop with, you know, Castoria or Scadia or whatever the fuck, you know, I'll bring that stuff, and I won't bring Musashi. But then when I go fight, you know, Lion King or whatever the fuck, you know, from the story, then I'm gonna bring Musashi, right? Like, what a concept! What if Arash is your waifu? I mean, you know, some people like Arash a lot. I like Arash a lot. Yeah, I know, since Canis, yeah, we haven't had a single archer boss, you know. Even though there's so many archer bosses from the past, right? I mean, there's some, you know, really good ones too. Chad, imagine having a favorite boss and a favorite unit, but then your favorite unit is released after your favorite boss, so you're literally never able to do your favorite boss with your favorite character. And then you have people acting like that's a good game design because, you know, this game's about story, so, you know, that's fine, right? So for example, let's say Void Shiki for the K&K rerun is your favorite boss fight, which is reasonable. That's a really good boss fight. So yeah, let's say Void Shiki is your favorite boss fight, and then let's say an archer that they add way later in the game is your favorite unit, right? But because they were added so long after, you're never going to get to do that boss fight with that your favorite unit now, right? Why? Like, what other game is this the case, right? That's not a thing generally. You know, generally it's like, oh yeah, you know, it's your favorite thing. You can just go replay it whenever you want, right? Like, Jesus Christ. I got Mordred after beating Camelot to know Mordred versus Artori. I know, that's like such a moment. That was such a memorable and fun moment for me. Was, you know, that's a really cool boss fight with the music, a lot of story build up. Mordred's one of my favorite characters, right? So I really enjoyed getting to use Mordred versus Artoria. That's a very memorable moment for me. But then a lot of other people like Mordred, and they don't get to have that moment because fuck you, apparently. Yeah, Tomoe, I think at least gets to do it on the rerun, I think. And because, you know, I get it. A lot of people, not everybody by any fucking means, but a lot of people really only care about the story and the waifus and they actually like farming. That's fine. I have never once advocated for like fucking with any of that stuff, right? But, you know, more options the better. It's so easy to have your cake and eat it too. I even talked about this where you could have like, you know, like right now our dailies are a joke. Our dailies give terrible drops. It's super easy, crazy boring. There's almost no reason to do them. Our dailies are awful. Like, our dailies suck. You can make new dailies, and you can make 2 sets of them, right? You can make 1 set of dailies that have a high AP cost, right? Maybe they cost 40 AP or 30 AP, but they have really high drop rates, or high-ish drop rates for what you expect out of a, you know, farming stage. And the stages are relatively easy. They're kind of what you would expect from like an event-free quest. You know, if you kind of put your mind to it, of course you can like 3-turn loopy-loop it, no problem. You know, they're there for like, you know, farming like that. And then you can have other dailies that have a much lower AP cost, but the stages themselves will take much longer, right? And you can't really 3-turn them, and they're much harder. But then the drop rates aren't as good. Right? And so, like, if you're trying to go for, like, time efficiency, if you're like, I'm gonna throw apples at the screen, or I want to use my AP up quickly and then go to bed or whatever, and I want to be efficient with that AP and get a lot out of it quickly, right? Then those easier nodes, you know, are better, right? So when Whale Boy is sitting there farming over and over, they don't care about AP to drop ratios. They care about, you know, just the drop rate being high and beating the stage quickly, you know, time, right? Where people like myself, it's like the opposite. You know, I want to play around, I want to mess around, I don't want to use apples if I don't have to. So I'd rather do a stage that costs like 5 AP, where the drop rate's not particularly good, but in the long run, it's actually worth the time, right? Because in the long run, although the stage is slower, so I'll be getting less drops, you know, per hour, but per AP I'll be getting more drops, right? Because I'm using less AP. This is not like rocket science. Nothing I'm talking about is like, we don't need Einstein for this, right? It's not hard to, these are just dailies, right? It's not hard to implement 2 sets of dailies. This is not complicated, right? You don't even need new assets. You can use old mobs, old bosses, all this stuff, and just twin the health ratios and this. You don't have to do anything. This is nothing. This affects no one, right? If you're one of those people, it's like, oh, I just want my farming, I want to do my 3-turn farming, I want to use my AP efficiently and you know, get my drops and stuff. You just do the 1 dailies. And if you're like, hey, I want to test out units, I want to have fun, I want to fight hard bosses and stuff, you do the other dailies. This is, what the fuck? Like, who would have a problem with this? Like, who actually would have a problem with this? Like, what kind of selfish, closed-minded jackass do you have to be to have a problem with a system like this? Because, again, the system would not call for, like, an excessive amount of development time. It would actually take fuck all development time. And regardless of which camp you're in, you get what you want! And it's all optional! So who cares? But no, it's, you know, it's all about, you know, story and my waifu, so we couldn't possibly have good dailies. Meanwhile, we have like, you know, 4-year-old dailies that only have old drops that no one fucking needs anymore, that have outrageously high AP costs and drop rates that are trash. You know, those are great though. Just keep those around for another 5 years, guys. Those 20k HP, you know, hand guys dropping embers. Oh man, I'm so excited. This is great. Like, I know so many people that don't like farming but like FGO. And then I also know a fuckload of people that like farming too, and that's fine. Like I said, it's not like it's difficult, it's not complex to cater to both camps, right? Like, I swear this is why most people would make absolutely terrible game devs, because like everyone thinks inside the box and everyone thinks everything is mutually exclusive for some fucking reason. You know what's funny is if you had an Ember daily where each hand had 100k health, it actually would not be hard to farm that at all. It really wouldn't. I know, the fucking pirate ship is still the best place to get hero proofs, dude. I'm gonna BRB real quick. I need to get some grub. I'm like super hungry. Give me 1 second here. I mean, you could do, I mean, hell, you don't even need Castoria. You can still do scatty stuff. There's even, you know, a lot of like, you know, old school, you know, triple K scope bullshit you could do. There's a lot of ways you could do it. All right, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Chat, you're not gonna believe this. I'm actually fixing... I'm fixing hot dogs to go inside the hot dog buns. And in the meantime, I'm eating a muffin. I'll get some headway on this event. Hey, Honako, what's up, man? Thank you for the resub. Let me give you an example, though. I was talking about earlier. So I really don't like Paul Bunyan, right? I fundamentally do not like that kind of design and how like disrespectful it is to the source material, especially when you have so many characters that are actually very respectful to the source material. People act like Fate is loaded with characters that aren't, because actually bullshit. Anyway, but not my kind of character at all. And Jesus Christ, Honako, with the 5 gifted subs. Jesus, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, man. So yeah, I don't care for Paul Bunyan at all. That's not my kind of design. I don't care for it. But I don't want to like delete Paul Bunyan from the game, right? She's literally my least favorite character in the game. And if I had the option to nuke her, I wouldn't, because I'm not a selfish prick, right? Because a lot of people like Paul Bunyan, and good for them. If I don't like Paul Bunyan, guess what? I don't use Paul Bunyan. There you go. That's all there is to it. It's like, variety is good. Options are good. Now, I will say, certain games do not lend themselves to necessarily, trying to make everyone happy. Especially multiplayer games, right? Multiplayer games, because you're having to interact with other people and stuff. Sometimes you have to be a lot more focused in your game design. And to a certain extent, you still can't make everyone happy. Like, certain games are just going to be built ground up. They're being more story-based or more hardcore, or, that's fine. But in FGO's case, it's very easy for them to branch out and to offer different things to different people. It's very easy for them to do that. There's something fundamental about the game design. And the proof of this is because we already have good boss fights. We already have, like, Leonardo da Vinci from Neurofest, and Zeet from the story, and Gwaine, and Lee students, and all this nonsense, right? There's so many. The game already supports that just fine, and it's already existed just fine. And for those that don't want to do those things, they already give you tools like command spells and so on and so forth. So it's like, there's no problem. This is not one of those games where it's a problem to have variety and like your character designs and in your gameplay options and things like that. Because some games, you can't, like Ruler Martha here, right? You can't really slap Ruler Martha into Last of Us or something, right? It's so out of place. But Fate's always had this kind of, spectrum of characters and different mythologies and histories and stuff that it works just fine. Hey, here's what Saber Nero said. That's most characters are generally, based on what they're based on pretty well, but then animate up. They kind of animate it up. All right, this is a thing, so I gotta actually follow the rules. Well, let's see, like the best thing you can summon against Berserkers now on an account like this would be a regular coup. But all my coups are level 100. So I can't do that. Robin. Robin's a good stand-in. No, let's go Ushi. We use Robin all the time. Let's do Ushi. Besides, she's already slotted, so I don't have to do anything. But yeah, I'm not trying to be a dick, but this is just how I feel. This is like this is what I've observed. I don't think this is everyone. I don't think this is even close to everyone. I think this is just a sizable percentage of the player base. From my observation, I feel like a lot of the FGO community does not play a lot of other games, and they only play FGO because of Fate, and they have absolutely no fucking standards. That is 100% how I feel. I think I don't think that's even the majority of the player base. I just think that's a vocal minority of the player base. And they just have absolutely no goddamn standards. And it's like, there's a lot of things to like about FGO. With all of its faults, there's still a lot of things to like about FGO. The artists do great, the voice actors do great, the story's good, they do make good boss fights with challenge quests and whatnot. Even this Paul Bunyan, Eric Bloodaxe one, which is definitely not the hardest ever, it's still fun. There's still plenty to mess around with and you know, use your brain and stuff. It's fine, you know? There's plenty of stuff like that. And and when people hear me say these things about FGO, they act like I'm attacking FGO, or like I hate it. I don't hate FGO at all. Why do you think I play it so much? I'm telling you right now, if I did not have the passion that I do for FGO and for Fate in general, I would not make as many videos as I do. I wouldn't put so much effort into the music. There's no way. I could never do that just for like a paycheck. I would just stop and go back to like my regular job. It's not. I have no issue with regular work, right? Like I actually find managing the YouTube and stuff harder for the most part. A lot more rewarding though, significantly more rewarding. I do it because I care and it's fun and I enjoy it and I like it. FGO has better boss fights than a lot of video games, right? And they also let you kind of choose your difficulty because most of the boss fights, you can cheese the shit out of them. If you bring like, you know, double Merlin or, you know, Merlin waiver, you know, bullshit like, you know, most of the boss fights, you can cheese the shit out of them, right? But you can also not, right? And that's very fun, being able to kind of pick what you want, focus on what you want. I find it incredibly enjoyable. I absolutely love the boss fights in FGO when they actually do them, right? They're great. They're rather good for a turn-based game. And I think the music's great. I think the story's gotten way better. I think the characters are really interesting. You know, it's just fun using your favorite characters from the other Fate things, from like Fate Tonight and Fate Zero and APOC and all those things. You know, it's really nice having those things. You know, there's a lot of nice things to say about FGO, but that doesn't mean you have to be complacent and that you have to act like there's no problems, right? Like, I talk about these things, and these things frustrate me because I actually care, right? Like, I'm not trying to take shots at Arknights here. I'm really not. I truly respect the game design of Arknights. They've done a very good job at that game. But I don't care about it nearly as much as I care about FGO. It's not. I don't care about like the style of gameplay as much. Although I do enjoy it. I was actually surprised at how much I enjoy the gameplay in that game, especially when you do 1 to 3 star stuff. It's very enjoyable. But anyway, I don't care about it as much as FGO. I don't like the characters even close to as much as I like the characters in Fate. Never mind FGO, just Fate in general. I don't like the characters nearly as much. So, you know, ultimately I don't care. I don't get, if Arknights did something stupid, you're not going to see me ranting and raving on my stream about it. Because I don't care enough. Again, I'm not trying to take shots at Arknights. I totally get a lot of people like Arknights, and that's great, and I have nothing but good wishes for that game and everything. But if Arknights did something really stupid, I might talk about it a bit. I might, you know, kind of say how it is relative to FGO and that kind of thing. But you're not going to see me ranting about it. It's just I just don't care. It's not important enough to me, right? The reason I rant about FGO is because I actually give a fuck, right? Because it is something I like a lot and that I want to see better, and because I have standards and FGO fails so miserably against them so often. Although it does succeed in some areas, like with the voice acting and the music and the character designs and yada yada. But anyway, it fails so miserably and so needlessly, right? There are some games you don't expect them to do well in certain departments, right? Obviously. There's many games that in many fields you don't expect them to do well. But FGO is already doing well with the boss fights. You know, the people that design their challenge quests do a great job. You know, they're already doing well there. They already have lots of units that are aimed at challenging content opposed to farming. They already have these things. And they just randomly are like, yeah, no, we're just not going to have story replay because fuck it. Right? Like it's pointless. There's no reason to have dailies that are this bad. There's no reason not to have optional game modes when literally every other fucking game has a bunch of optional game modes. And sure, it's not like, I'm never, like, Epic 7 is crazy, right? Like, they literally added like 5 game modes in a year at one point, right? I'm not expecting that out of FGO. I don't think it's even remotely asking for too much to expect a new game mode out of FGO in 5 years, right? This is not unreasonable, right? Because say what if you like Epic 7 or not, it's undeniable that they experimented a lot and they tried a lot of different game modes. They have 2 challenge towers. They've got the boss mode. They've got they got the fucking PvP now. They've got the fucking world boss, which is trash, but it's a thing. They got those wanted posters. They've got the story mode. They've got new game plus mode. I mean, it's just it's insanity, right? Like, they've added so many game modes. I don't expect that out of FGO. I do not expect that out of FGO, right? But hey, Radcast, what's up, man? Thank you for the 28-month resub, man. That's wild, dude. Yeah, I know the world bosses are awful, are truly awful, but at least they tried something. Anyway, but yeah, Epic 7, we have nothing. We literally have nothing. It's just silly. It's just silly. And to me, it just reeks that DW is just afraid to rock the boat. It's not even about like game design or their own or artistic vision or anything like that. It's literally them not knowing what to do and being afraid of rocking the boat and fucking up the golden goose, right? That is because I don't think they're very good game devs. I'm not trying to insult them, and I don't think all of them are bad. I think whoever the fuck is in charge of Challenge Quest is great and is very smart and is very good at what they're doing. I think the people that do the music are great. I think the artists are great, but I think DW, for like the coding side of things, I don't think is very good, and I think the evidence is quite obvious for that. And I think DW themselves pretty much even said that a long time ago in an interview where they said, when they started making FGO, they were very inexperienced and they weren't planning on FGO being this long-running game, and they didn't really know what they were doing. They said that, right? And I think it shows. They really don't know what they're doing, and even though they have more money than God, Aniplex doesn't seem to be willing to hire people that do know what they're doing, right? And I think I think that's from a business standpoint, because I actually know quite a lot about business, and I think from a business standpoint, it's incredibly foolish and short-sighted and wasted potential like no one's business. And it's also just lazy and insulting, right? So I honestly have basically no defense for the state of Aniplex and DW at this point. And I'm not trying to personally attack anyone. I think a lot of it is because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and there's a lot of problems when you have large companies. And in their case, not only do they have one publisher, but they actually have 2 publishers, right? It's very difficult to manage. So they may have a lot of people in DW staff that are like, oh yeah, we should blatantly do this thing or that thing, and this would be better for the game, or this would give people more options, or like this, having a safety net would be better long-term profits, these kinds of things, right? But that doesn't mean they have the power to do anything, right? And even people in high places might have the power to do something, but then someone else in the company is some idiot executive and you can't. Like, large companies are a nightmare, right? That's just, it is what it is, right? And so I'm not personally attacking anyone. I have no beef with anyone that works at DW, and I suspect plenty of people there probably have similar feelings to me, honestly, when it comes to like the lack of game modes and all these things. That being said, DW may truly have no passion for FGO and then just maybe phoning it in for a paycheck. There's no way for me to know that, right? There's so much of it is behind closed doors. It's a possibility that's the case, right? But I don't assume that. There's no reason for me to assume that, right? There's no reason not giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's more likely that it has more to do with the code and Aniplex and those industry nonsense. I would hope that's the case. It'd be very sad if I found out that DW had no passion for FGO at all. But it happens. There's many video games out there where the devs working on it have absolutely no passion for it, and it's just a paycheck. I know so many people that would just story replay enough would be enough for them. Hell, it'd be enough for me, really. I'll be right back. My food's about ready. Don't want to burn it now. Alright. I'm back. Might be, I might not talk quite as much here because I'm eating, but, I have to say, this is like some new brand of hot dog that Tusk bought that I've never had before, and I'm skeptical. It's not awful, but this is definitely not the best hot dog I've ever had in my life. Honestly, the things that keep me playing FGO is because their boss design really is good. And I really do like the Fate franchise. That's pretty much what it is, but there's a lot that I don't like, and there's a lot of other games I think just do it so much better. But most of the other games, I think gameplay-wise, in terms of like fulfilling, interesting, in-depth gameplay, I think Arknights keeps up just fine. But it's a very different style of gameplay. And, you know, it doesn't have the cool animations. That's another thing. Like, seriously, that's something I don't like about Arknights, is everything's chibi, right? And there's no, like, really, you know, the animations in FGO are really nice, right? They're quite cool. I just don't like the characters in Arknights nearly as much. Wait, is this, what am I doing right now? Oh, this is main story, okay. Back to Ushi. 戦いは苦手だが、これもまた世界 I mean, I can enjoy an anime in just about any setting and whatnot if it's just done well. What makes, you know, an anime and a video game are very different. You know, there's some overlap sometimes, but you know, an anime is just straight storytelling, right? So to make an anime good, you need good storytelling, right? You need good character development, or just insight. You know, characters don't necessarily have to evolve, but like the way you explore the characters needs to be done well. You know, the plot or the action. You know, there's no one formula that makes a story good, but what you're focusing on is very different. Where video games have a lot of interactive element and whatnot, so it changes priorities quite a lot. An example I like to give is one of my favorite stories, at least for anime, is Code Geass. But interesting enough, Code Geass doesn't really... I like the cast of Code Geass, but it has... if I was gonna do like my top 100 favorite anime characters, Code Geass wouldn't do so hot. Like it really wouldn't. Like, I'm not like hating on the characters. A lot of them are, you know, like, oh yeah, they're cool, but they're not, you know, they're not speaking to me, right? They're not. I'm not like crazy about the Code Geass cast. But what makes that story good for me is the fact that the characters are good enough, but then it has a very interesting plot. The way it unfolds is very interesting. And seeing like the decisions the characters make and the ramifications of those and how they play off each other, that's what like really carries that story, right? Where like Fate's Stay Night is like the complete opposite of that, right? Where the characters are really interesting and I like them a lot, you know, like Ku, Kojiro, Kodamine, you know, Medusa, Medea, they're awesome fucking characters. But the story's kind of trash and it doesn't play out all that logically, and it's got a lot of plot armor and contrivance. And of course, there's plot armor and whatnot in Code Geass as well. But I find the story of Fate's Stay Night to be pretty resident sleeper. But the characters and like the action and stuff are cool, right? I think the characters are really good, and some of the action is pretty, pretty neat. And so now overall, I like Code Geass more than Fate Stay Night, but that's more specific to Fate Stay Night and the principles behind them. But so yeah, like my criteria for what I enjoy out of a story is kind of all over the place. But for video games, it's because it's video. I always say this. It's like, okay, if you want to just tell a story, then write a book, make a movie, make an anime, make a comic. But if all you care about is the story, a video game is a very stupid medium to go with. It makes no sense, right? If you're not actually going to take advantage of what a video game does, which is the interactive element, there's no point in making a video game. There's literally no point. If the interactive element is an afterthought, why the fuck did you make a video game? Why didn't you make a comic book or a movie or a book or whatever, right? Or a TV series, you name it, right? So I feel like it's kind of like a hack thing to do, where you're only interested in telling a story, but then you make a video game. It's like you couldn't cut it in an industry that's about actual storytelling, and your video game is like a second choice. That's not a good look, right? If you're gonna make a video game, by all means have a good story as well, right? You can have your cake and eat it too, sure. But the most important thing is the gameplay, because you made a video game. You didn't make a comic book or a movie or a TV show. You made a video game. So the gameplay is the most important thing. Right? I always say this. I can play a video game that has a terrible story. So I can play a video game like Ninja Gaiden Black. Ninja Gaiden Black's story is pants, right? But the gameplay is amazing. And I can very much enjoy that game. Now, I very much like a video game like FGO or Armored Core for Answer, for example, that have good story as well, right? But I cannot enjoy a video game that does not have good gameplay, right? If all it has is story, I'm like, why isn't this a comic or whatever? And imagine a story, right? You buy a book, and the book is crap, but it comes with like a Game Boy, right? You know, this little Game Boy thing on the side. Like, it's like, what's the point, right? Like, I could just go get an actual, an actual gaming system, right? Even if you got like an okay tacked on, like, handheld game that comes with a book, right? But it's not nearly as good as like, a game you could get on like the Switch or on the 3DS or the PSP or whatever, right? It's like, there's no point, right? If you're gonna have a book, write a goddamn book. Right? If you're not actually going to make a good book, don't write a book, right? It's silly. It's pointless. And it's like you got to pick your poison, right? So, for example, movies are fairly flexible because movies they don't have to be about straight story. They can be more about spectacle and action and stuff, or they could be all about like, story and whatnot. But there's still elements to a movie that you need to adhere to. A movie is a visual medium, so like if there's no point in making a movie that's just a wall of text. Like, what did they write a book, stupid, right? There's no point, right? And so I find video games fairly uniquely do this thing where they try to make a video game that's a movie, right? It's stupid. It really is stupid to me, because you're never going to have a movie come out in theaters that's just a black screen with white text popping up, and it's just just the text from a book, right? That's not a thing. That's not gonna work, right? For some fucking reason, though, there's a section of fans that like are okay with video games not being video games, and I'm like, why not just watch a movie or make this a TV show? Because the argument I've often seen is, well, movies are only maybe 2 to 4 hours. God help you on the 4-hour ones, but and some stories need more time. They need time to flush themselves out and I agree with that. But that's where you have TV series and anime and comics and those kinds of things. And I get some types of stories actually fit video games very well, right? There are certain experiences in life and certain messages you want to send that lend themselves very well to the interactive aspect of video games. But then you still need to have good gameplay, right? Like you can tell a story that that ties into the interactive element of video games very well, and so it fits video games really well, and you can have a very deep and thought-provoking story. I'm not like arguing for video games to have bad stories, not at all. But, you know, if you're going to pick video games, the gameplay needs to, you know, not suck. Because that's the whole point. Because, here's an example, like, from my perspective, right? FGO existed for a while before I decided to play it, and it's because when FGO first came out, it didn't have challenging boss fights. It had a very predatory business model. It was just lazy. FGO Day 1 was literally nothing but carrot on a stick that was meaningless. They just wanted you to farm for farm's sake, with no interesting content, no purpose. The story was trash. And I didn't play it back then. I was like, I looked into it, I'm like, this is trash, this is not worth my time, I love Fate, but fuck this is a joke. When I decided to actually play it was when I heard that the writing was getting better, the business model was a lot less scummy, you know, they were giving out, because it used to not give out free SQ. You used to get SQ for beating the story, and that was it, and then the only way to get SQ was spending money. They didn't have dailies, they didn't have login rewards, you know, SQ cost more, you needed 40 to summon instead of 30. But you know, once I heard they were making those things better, they added the Grail system, and I saw they were making actual boss fights that, you know, had real gameplay and stuff. I was like, okay, now I'll play. I remember that was my friend was like telling me stuff like, oh, they're adding a Grail system, so like low rarities are good, and like the business model's not so scummy anymore. I was like, okay, that's good, but I still didn't play it. The thing that got me to play it, and I've said this before, it was like somebody made a fucking meme post on Reddit or something. I don't even know why I saw it. I have no idea how I found this post. But this guy basically made a meme joke, like he made a picture of each boss in Camelot, and then in kind of a meme-y way, he kind of described the boss gimmicks, right? And so I was like, oh hey, they're actually making boss battles and stuff. And I saw other people responding saying, oh, I was stuck on Gwaine for a while and stuff like that. I'm like, oh wow, there's actually a game here now. And that is what did it. That's what, you know, got me to play the game, right? And so if this game ever lost that and it didn't have those things, I'd stop playing. I love Fate and everything, but it's like, I gotta have the gameplay. I can put up with the farming if there's some good stuff at the end, and there is good stuff at the end. I had so much goddamn fun, you know, with like the Zeus boss fight. I remember some guy was trying to tell me, of course, on Reddit, because someone will post like a 5-second clip of something I say with no context, and then they try to be an armchair psychiatrist and try to, you know, say how I feel about Fate or something. Like, oh, you know, Green clearly just doesn't, you know, care about Fate that much and is just burned down on the game, and he should just stop playing. I'm like, okay, Einstein, I'm glad to hearing you talk for 5 seconds. You know how I feel about the game and you know why I make videos and all those things. But you know, it's like the amount of fun I have when we get to do things like Zeus and all that. It's amazing. I love it. It's great. I have so much fun with that stuff. I have so much goddamn fun with this game when they do stuff, right? Even this challenge quest. This challenge quest wasn't the best ever, but I still had fun. It was still fun, just like thinking of the value and like finding the ways to use Medusa, when to use the stun, and I had a great time. I mean, seriously, this is kind of a forgettable challenge quest. But when I was doing it with like Medusa, and even when I was doing it with Atalante, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing yet, and all that, I had a damn good time. I always have a damn good time with these things. You know, it's like, I don't dislike FGO at all. It's more that I actually really like certain aspects of it, and for just some arbitrary reason, you're not allowed to replay these things. I don't know why, but you know, it is what it is. I don't think anyone's ever done that, but I'm sure you could take me out of context and make it sound like I don't like Ku. I'm sure I've said something at some point, like a joke, or just like you cut off part of it. I'm sure you could find a way to make it sound like I don't like Ku. But yeah, I really dislike when people do that, when they try to take some, you know, because let's be real, there's a big difference between a video, like a video essay or something, and a stream, right? It's so different, right? Like in a video, you're gonna take your time. If you mess up a take, you'll retake it. It honestly blows my mind when people don't understand this, right? Like when you're streaming, you're gonna misspeak sometimes. Of course you're going to. You're gonna flub your words sometimes. You might like try to emphasize like 2 points of something and where one's more meaningful than the other, but it's going to sound like you're contradicting yourself. Things like that. That's just going to happen, right? When you make a video, for example, you know, you can express yourself clearer. You can take a second take. You can script it. You can go, oh shit, I fucked up. Let me redo that, right? In a stream, you don't have that, and so it's really annoying to me when someone takes like a 20-second clip of a stream and they act like that's that. And I can't tell you how often like with even big streamers, they'll get like someone will take a 20-second clip from their stream, and people will get this impression that that person is, you know, implying a certain thing or whatever, and they're not. They're literally not. Like if you actually watch the clip in context, it's a completely different. You know, you see like it's like a side of it, right? And there's a lot more to the conversation than that. And that always annoys me when people like they treat fucking stream clips as like a video essay, right? It's just silly. And when you're in the stream, you know, you can ask the streamer to clarify something, right? And that's the nice thing about streams. You can interact, right? In a video, you can't. I guess you could leave a comment and maybe the person responds, but oh god, why is this stream? Okay, let me watch this. I don't like Ku. Okay, I see what you did there. Well, that was easy. I didn't think of that. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's obviously a really small example, but you can even take a stream clip that's like 2 minutes long, but it's not going to give the proper context of what they're talking about, or like maybe then they explore other sides of it and things like that, right? And it always annoys me. You should not assume something off of like a stream clip, especially if you weren't there and you don't actually know what they were talking about, right? It's just silly. That's actually one of my favorite things in life, though, is when I have a certain viewpoint and someone else disagrees with it, and they just disagree with it. What I really don't like is when people use like they try to discredit you without actually addressing anything you fucking said, right? Where it's like, wow, you know, this guy's opinion doesn't matter because he thinks Fate Stay Night is bad, right? That's not addressing a damn thing that I said, right? Like that's just character assassination, right? Now, I don't really care. You know, humans are humans. If you want to like assassinate someone's character while also addressing their points, fine. That's whatever. You know, I literally don't care if someone wants to insult me, right? It's whatever. But when you only insult someone and you act like that is like that alone debunks them, it's kind of annoying. I actually very enjoy interacting with people that don't agree with me. It's very fun because it's a good way to analyze your own view. It's a good way to like explore like nuances and stuff like that, or you know, if you don't have that person to play off of, you don't get to do that. So but I see the internet is so bad about that, and it's because like, you know, YouTube comments, Discord, it's not a flushed out conversation, right? It's these quick, you know, sound bites, basically. Now, they're not the actual sound bites because normally it's typing, but you get what I'm saying. It's like buzzwords. It's like, you know, debates and politics. You know, they don't allow people to really talk about the issues in depth, so you have to go with like buzzwords and shit, right? It's a nothing burger. It's so pointless, right? And it's really common on the internet. Now, you can obviously have good conversations on the internet. I've seen YouTube comment chains that people are going in real depth and having good conversations and all that. But the internet, especially Reddit, this is why I don't like Reddit, and I'm not talking about, because I always have to clarify this, I'm not talking about people that use Reddit. Lots of cool people use Reddit. I don't like Reddit as a website, because it promotes that quick, soundbitey, you know, appeal to the crowd, populist mindset, upvotes. You literally get censored if you have an unpopular opinion. You can literally express something that is scientifically sound and true, but not popular, and be downvoted, right? It's not a format for a conversation, right? Imagine a debate, like on an onstage debate, where the crowd could turn off someone's mic because they don't like what they're saying, right? Like that's stupid. Like of course that's stupid. Like that's an insult. The fact that people act like Reddit is a good medium for converse is an insult to my intelligence. Like that's stupid. That is a fucking awful format for conversing. You know, that doesn't mean that sometimes good conversation doesn't happen on there. Sometimes it does. The clown show can sometimes result in a good, you know, conversation. That doesn't mean that the format lends itself to it. It absolutely does not. It promotes circle jerk. You know, you're more likely to not even speak your mind if you think the crowd is against you, right? Which that's terrible for having an opinion, and then, you know, it just murders nuance, because you just throw out the populist opinion and you're gonna get the upvotes, and then, you know, nuance just dies. And this has nothing to do with any specific Reddit, and this has nothing to do with anyone that uses Reddit. And I do think Reddit has uses. I just don't think that use is conversation. I think where Reddit can be useful is like, you know, looking up memes or looking at art, and, you know, it makes the website format works pretty well for that, I would say. But for converse, it's trash. The thing is, certain tools don't work for every job, right? Like for example, if you're trying to fix a swimming pool vent, you're going to need specific tools for that job, right? And if you go whipping out, you know, a tool that's not, you know, that's designed for like something completely different, it's not going to work, right? It's not. It doesn't matter what that it's a tool or not. It's the fact that it's not applicable to this context. It's like trying to use a screwdriver when you need a hammer, right? Or you need a screwdriver and you use a hammer. It just doesn't work, right? It's not applicable. It doesn't mean a hammer is a bad tool necessarily, but it's absolutely bad for certain jobs, right? Like a hammer is just not going to get the job done for a lot of things, and I really hope that goes without saying. Because I do think Reddit has uses. Of course it does. But like for analyzing what Mr. Streamer said, like you got like, what is it, stream fails or whatever, that community is a joke. And it's like nothing but people taking things out of context and then patting themselves on the back and defeating strawmen, right? It's a joke. You know, it's just a fucking joke, right? And I see so much of that on Reddit, where it's just a community patting themselves on the back with no opposition and acting like, oh yeah, I defeated the dragon, right? When you just defeated a straw man, right? It's just, it's sad. I know, we did it, Reddit. That is such a good example. That is such a good example, because that resulted in so much real world harm and was just... That literally exemplifies what I've been saying about Reddit for the longest time, about where nuance dies and all that kind of stuff. Because, like, that was the whole thing. They threw nuance out the window and they blamed an innocent man just because they had vague evidence that, you know, it's just... You know, there's a reason why you're not a detective, Einstein, right? It's just... It's saddening to me. And again, Reddit has uses. You know, like I said, for spreading art and memes and those kinds of things, it's totally fine for that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty famous thing, honestly, that we did at Reddit. Was basically Reddit trying to out a criminal, and they doxed the wrong guy because they thought he was guilty and he wasn't. And basically Reddit trying to be detectives. And big fucking surprise, they did a really bad job. And the we did it Reddit comes from because they thought they figured it out. They thought they got it. They thought they got the right guy. And so they were patting themselves on the back. But yeah, they didn't. There's a reason why, like, we don't have like a perfect justice system, right? But there's a reason we don't use mob rule, right? Because the mob is not, there's nothing about a mob and about emotional thinking and those kinds of things that actually result in the truth. They just don't, right? There's a reason why, like, a jury is not going to be let's say you have someone that's convicted or being persecuted for murder. You know, we don't know if they actually murdered the person or not. There's a reason why the prosecution and the defense and the jury all cannot be, for example, let's say you've got the family of the victim, the person that was murdered. The jury is not going to have any fucking people that were related to the victim because they're biased as fuck, right? And you're not going to have like the mother of the defendant on the jury. Of course not, right? It's like there's a very good reason why you don't do that, right? And it's funny because the people in those situations don't see it. You know, they see everything as so black and white and whatnot. But like, for example, let's say you did have jury members that were like the victim's family members and stuff. Of course that's going to result in a lot of false, you know, guilty verdicts and stuff. Of course the percentage would go way the fuck up, right? And it's the same thing with mob justice. There's nothing about the mob that means, you know, oh guys, we figured it out because there's a lot of us. It doesn't work that way. Like, there's a very good reason why, you know, you do not have the people that are emotionally involved to be on either side of the case, and why when you gather evidence and whatnot, you have a fucking professional do it. You don't get Reddit. You don't do that, right? Of course not. Damn, this is a parking ticket, indeed. And what happens is, like, especially when I talk about this or when anyone criticizes Reddit, a lot of people that enjoy Reddit take it as a personal attack. It's not a personal attack. There's nothing wrong with using Reddit. There's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, most people use it for memes and pictures and art and that kind of thing. It's fine. Right? There's a huge difference between criticizing a website and criticizing a fucking person. Right? It is not a personal attack to say Reddit is, you know, literally built in a way that promotes an echo chamber. The longer a Reddit goes on and the larger it is, the more likely it is to become an echo chamber. It's just, it has it's just designed that way. Like, that's just the way it, that's the way the systems are point to, right? That doesn't mean every Reddit is an echo chamber. That doesn't mean everyone that uses Reddit is part of that. But it doesn't change that that's what the format leads to. Again, we're getting to nuance though, and that's just too difficult, so. Hey, I like the 123. Thank you for the 26-month resub, man. Jeez, thank you, thank you. I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Some people burn waifus to just piss people off, but most people don't do that. Most people burn waifus because they don't actually like the unit and they want rare prisms. I mean, that's literally all there is to it. Like, they don't like the unit and they want rare prisms. Like, imagine... there's not even that many... very rarely do you see somebody even talk about burning something, right? Like, because most people that play FGO don't stream. They don't have a YouTube channel. They don't post actively on Reddit. They may not even use Reddit. I would actually say the majority of the FGO community probably doesn't even have a Reddit account. You know, my brother's a good example of this. He doesn't have one. They don't post on Discords. Most people that burn things don't tell a soul. And then out of the people that do tell people, a lot of them are people like myself, which are just streaming their FGO experience. So I want me to lie to you, chat? I want me to be like, yeah, I'm not burning this thing as I throw it in the oven, right? You know, I'm burning it because it's practical to do so and because I don't like the unit. And I might articulate why I don't like the unit, and that's kind of what you expect, right? And a lot of people, you know, that do post pictures like on Discord or something of burning someone is because they are annoyed that they were trying to get like this thing and they got that thing instead. There's nothing wrong with that. Now there is a minority of people that post things to just try to piss people off. I have people send me pictures of them burning coup all the time and they're just trying to, you know, to piss me off, right? I ignore these people, but you know, some people do that, but it's such a minority. I mean, I don't think it's even 1%. Like, it's like nobody. It's like 5 guys, right? Like, most burning stuff is either not even talked about because you don't even, like, God. So, can you imagine how many units get burned every day? Like, holy shit, can you imagine how many units get burned every day? And nobody even says anything. You know, like I said, they don't have a platform to even share it, and or even if they do, they don't care. They're like, I don't care if Discord knows I burned this thing or not. They just don't care. And some people are just like, oh my god, I was trying to get Brunhilde and I got fucking Kiara, and so they just show the burning Kiara, right? That's nothing, and that's fine. I think getting offended about those things is a problem. It's stupid. It's silly. Now, where I do draw the line, and is when you have people that are just trying to be antagonistic, just to be antagonistic, right? Like, for example, you know, like me and Zaw, like Canis, right? So someone like pings us on Discord of burning Canis, and they're just trying to be a dick, right? Now, if someone else is just like, God, I really wanted the twins and I got a million canuses and I instantly burned can, that's fine. Like, who cares? Like, that's no problem. And I have a Discord, right? I see a lot of this stuff, you know. I keep up with the FGO community to a degree, right? And overwhelmingly, I think most burning stuff is completely innocent and people are just overreacting and being silly about it. Of course there's some malicious stuff, but who cares? Like, literally, who cares? I have probably had more people send me burn pictures than most people, and I just don't care. I don't lose any sleep over some guy burning coup or what. I don't even, I don't care. Like, why would I care? It's not like my coup loses an attack point every time somebody burns coup, right? That doesn't happen, so of course I don't care. Like, I just see people act like it's like such a big deal, and I'm like, by all means, yeah, I love this stuff. I love talking about like what you think is worthwhile, what's not, why you like things, why you don't like things, why you think the unit's good, why you think they're bad. That's great, but it's like it just sticks in stones, right? If someone without context is just like hi maniac, if somebody with like no context is just like fuck you, it doesn't mean anything, right? It's like it's just, it's so pointless. Like, you know, this is like kindergarten shit, man. I care more about someone saying something factually wrong than I do them insulting me. Like, very much so. Maniac, do you care if we add the Hercules emote to our Discord? Because I feel like it's such a popular emote at this point, and people ask for it all the time. So I asked you to put it, if it was okay to put it on the channel, you didn't care, so I'm assuming you don't care for on Discord either. But like, I figured I'd ask, and so many people want it at this point that I feel like we kind of need to make that happen. No, I just add it to the Discord. Like, I won't make it like a sub thing. I'll just put it on the Discord. Yeah, it's pretty great. It's one of the better FGO emotes in my opinion. So I haven't been paying attention to what I've been doing, but I feel like this stage isn't going very well. I should probably put more thought into my actions here. Yeah, I mean, I'm at 200% overcharge on a unit that doesn't need overcharge. It's normally a sign that you haven't been making very good decisions throughout the stage. That's starging up though, yeah, it's gonna really help for killing those bosses, you know. Well, at least Karna though, actually, in totality, Karna can do more damage because he gets the crit buff, and although he has more long-term value with like the Buster down lasting 3 turns and stuff, so the total like damage Karna can do can be higher, but in the like short term, it's not. Like in just terms of like MP damage and that kind of thing, it's not. But yeah, lore-wise, it's kind of silly when Karna's got one of the stronger NPs out there. He hits hard enough though, that it's fine. And also, if you're fighting Divinity, then it's quite something. I mean, really, the average skill rank on the 1 to 3 star account is like 100 because I've hardly leveled anything. Like, out of the units that I have, they have pretty good skill ranks, but that's because, of course they do, because, like, Ushi's, like, one of the only writers we have. Like, where else would the writer gyms be going into, right? I go through, like, I generally only have 1 or 2 of each class, so generally they have good skill ranks because there's nothing else to give the gems to. We'll level Ricky at some point, but he hasn't been out that long. I haven't really, and ever since he was added, I haven't really played the account that actively, so. Because, like, I have... This account has more units leveled than, like, my newbie account does, but oh, fuck me, I should have done that differently. Should have NP'd the middle one, then NP'd the boss. A little bit of overkill there. I actually love this account, I just don't like farming, right? I like playing this account when I get to... Why didn't I use their first skills? Remember I was saying earlier about not paying attention to what I'm doing? Yeah. Anyway, I need to actually play this account like we're doing the story and boss fights. I love it to death. I just don't like, you know, catching up. Because I'm at the point on my main account that farming is easy. My main account has so much stuff leveled and has so many mats stockpiled. You know, I can just kind of, you know, phone in the farming on the side when I'm playing another video game or I'm doing my laundry or whatever, and it's fine. But, you know, this account needs so much farming to get anywhere. That if I hit a roadblock, I'm like, okay, I need to level some units. It would take so long to level those like 3 or 4 units. It just kind of sucks. Or like my main account never gets into those kind of situations. So I kind of just like I just get a little bit done in this account here and there, and over time it accumulates to the point where I can continue. And I basically just don't. I just don't have the will to farm on this account that much. It's also like, okay, if this was my only account, it'd be easy, right? Because then when I am like, you know, doing my laundry or eating dinner or watching a stream or whatever, you know, if I'm playing a FGO on the side, I'm only playing one FGO account on the side, and it's generally my main, right? Because it's my main. But if it was this account instead, this account would get, you know, done in no time. It'd be no problem. But you know, because it's an alt, it just doesn't really go anywhere. I probably won't Grail at least until I beat Lost Belt 3. I'm pretty determined to beat Lost Belt 3 without Grailing. I might Grail after that. Okay, here's the thing. I don't think it's necessary to Grail for anything. Maybe you might have to Grail for Zeet. I'm not sure. The issue is, Grailing would just mean I wouldn't have to farm so much. Because that's the thing. A lot of times I get stuck on things, not because 1 to 3 stars can't do it, and not because I can't figure it out. It's just because I don't have the units that I need leveled up to the appropriate, like, skill rank or leveled at all, you know, things like that. Like, right now, we're at least students, and I'm like, okay, the kind of strategies I want to try out would involve Phantom and, like, Fuma. I don't have either of those things leveled right now, right? And let alone, oh, actually, I did just level Fuma, but his skill ranks are, like, trash. And then Phantom is fucked right now. And so it's like, I don't really have the means to just level them up right now. And then, like, maybe then I need to level up, you know, a different support or something, right? I just don't have the means for that. Where, like, let's say 100 Face isn't the perfect fit. Let's say I need an assassin, but it needs to be a bunch of AoE assassins, right? Well, if I ever grailed 100 Face, I can kind of make, you can kind of make a circle fit into a square peg, right? That Grailing would, you know, cut down on the amount of farming I would need to do dramatically. But on the flip side, it's been very fun to see how far, I mean, because we have not compromised once. So far, we have never used a Grailed unit. We have never used a 4 or 5 star CE. Like, we've completely followed the gimmicks all the way through. We've not been carried by a goddamn thing. We don't even use MASH when she became a 4 star. Like, we haven't even used MASH, and we've made it this far. And so I would feel like I'm robbing myself of the chance to figure things out. Because, like, for example, I felt like almost, you know, grailing something for Horse Bindo and Landling. I knew it was possible. I knew that boss was possible with the restrictions, but I just didn't have a lot of the stuff that I needed for it. But eventually I was able to get it done, right? And so I'd rather just take my time. The frustrating part is just the fact that I can't farm in the account much, right? That's the frustrating part. If I had the time to farm in this account, I don't think it'd be a big deal. You don't need to level that much stuff. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at how little that we have. I mean, dear God, like, we have not leveled much at all. And we've gotten this far, right? So if I was, you know, farming more than this, I could have so much more stuff leveled and wouldn't even have to stop to farm anymore. But, yeah, it's just not the case. Because this isn't my only account. It's not the only thing I enjoy doing. I love playing this account, right? It's awesome, although frustrating sometimes. But I also enjoy playing the main account when there's a new story. I love our fresh account because we're just kind of playing the game in like a really legit way where I'm not handicapping myself, but I am handicapping myself in the areas that I would just for fun. Like I don't want to use Merlin and Waver, but I'll use, if I happen to get the Canis CE, I'll use it. If I get K-Scope, I'll use it. If I get Black Grail, I'll use it, right? You know, so I enjoy all my accounts for different reasons, and it's been, you know, really fun. But because of that, I can't just focus on just this account because I want to do other things too. I love all my accounts; they're really fun, except for NA. Fuck NA. That's the black sheep of the bunch, by the way. And it's not don't chat. It's not that NA itself is bad. NA is fine. I have no problem with NA. I just don't care about the account. Like there's nothing unique about that account. It's way behind. You know, it's 2 years. The game is always 2 years behind. It's you know, doesn't have the, you know, I love the animations, the new bosses and all that stuff, and I don't get to do any of that on NA. And I just have less stuff on NA, so it's like, it's the one account I truly do not give a flying fuck about. But all my other accounts I really enjoy, and I do enjoy NA from time to time. When people aren't bugging me, I'll just play NA when I feel like it, and then I do enjoy it. Like when I decided to fight, I just randomly made that Abigail versus Scath video on NA. I enjoyed the shit out of that. That was really fun. But that's because no one was bugging me, right? And I didn't like have to do it on a time frame. I could like not, I did that, I think I did that way after Abigail was released. I'm pretty sure I did it like months after, you know, Salem came out, right? So when people don't bug me, I'll just jump into NA when I'm like, oh, hey, this is something I'd like to do. Because, okay, think of it this way, right? I don't keep up with NA at all. I'm not leveling things. I haven't leveled something on NA in ages, right? So it's like, I'm not keeping up with like the 1 to 3 star curve, right? If I was like trying to play NA to constantly do 1 to 3 star stuff, I would need to be leveling my fucking 1 to 3 stars, right? So people are always asking me to do shit on NA for like with 1 to 3 stars, and I'm like, I don't even have half of them leveled, right? So it's not even possible. So I don't bother, right? And I've had the time I've already done stuff like that on my other accounts, so I just don't really care. But like sometimes like I do have certain things leveled on NA. Like I have Scath leveled. I've got you know, Cleopatra leveled. You know, I got some random stuff leveled over there. And sometimes things pops up on NA. I'm like, oh, hey, you remember that one thing that I got on NA? You know, they're actually pretty applicable right now. Maybe I'll go mess around with that. See, that's how I like to play NA. It's like when it makes sense to use the things that I actually have on NA, then I'll play NA. But I'm not like trying to keep up with things because I don't need to, because I've already done all of it on JP. So I keep up with JP, and I see NA as a bonus. But my fucking fan base is always bugging me to do stuff on NA, and on the one hand, I get it, right? It's cool to watch people that and stuff that they're doing the same things you're doing. They're struggling with the same things you're struggling with. They're like, oh god, the farming sucks here. Oh god, the farming's so easy here. Oh my god, look at this QP we're getting. I get that. I get it, right? But it's just, you know, it's not for me, and it's not going to be for me. It's not like I want to be disconnected from my fan base or anything. You know, I like it when we have things in common. We can talk about, you know, similar woes and foes and whatever, but, you know, I'm not going to give up on the account that I've been playing all this time, since long before NA even existed, just for that, right? Like, I like JP so much more, because I love when, like, when there's an animation update, I like being able to see it, and maybe make a video for it, or if there's a new boss fight, I like being able to fight it. If they buff Ku, I like having the buff, right? I don't want to wait 2 years, right? And I got Mori grailed on NA and everything. Mori doesn't even exist on JP. I got Mori grailed to 100 on JP, and he doesn't even exist on NA, right? So it's like, of course NA is not going to be on my main. But it's like a side thing that just plays from time to time. It's fine. It's no big deal. And it's nice to have an official translation, as whack as it can be sometimes, but you know. Oh yeah, I definitely need Void Coke. Quite obviously. Bones, Void Dust, and Hero Proofs. That's the 3 things I pretty much need constantly, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I probably should wrap up. I am pretty pooped. I want to get a little bit more done. I'm going to probably keep playing this account. I'm probably going to rest some. But I want to get as much done on this account as I can, because we have today and like half of tomorrow, and that's it for this event. And I want to at least get the command code, because it's so good for Hans and 100 Face. I want to at least grab that, and if I could get the Grails, great. Because, yeah, we're not using Grails, but whenever I do decide, okay, guys, it's time to Grail some stuff, you know, I want to have a lot of Grails so I can actually, you know, Grail things. I don't even know how many Grails we have. Let me check. We basically have no event Grails. I think we have one. I think we have one event Grail. And I hope I got that login Grail. Remember they gave out a Grail if you, like, logged in 7 days in a row or whatever? I hope I got that, but that might have been before I started playing. I stopped playing this account for like a year, and I didn't even log in on it. Like I don't think I even had it on a device, so I couldn't play it for quite a while. And so that might have been in that period. I'm not sure. All right, we have 23 Grails. My God, if I finish this event, we'll have 25 and then 26 from Lost Belt 3. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Yeah, Mori's awesome. Mori's really fun. I really enjoy his gameplay. If you really like Mori, you got just make sure you get Star Bomb CEs when they're available. That's thankfully they're always free. I think every Star Bomb CE has always been a freebie. So make sure you get Star Bomb CEs. You know, you have Merlin, that's a good one, but you know, Qin Gong and Mozart really helpful. Oh right, I beat this stage once. I can like I can cheese it now. I don't have to follow the rules anymore. And hold on, let me see what are the drops here. I'm gonna show a very extreme difference in the cheese variant here. Okay, that's good. We need chainsaws. Now, in the long run, I should switch some command codes around so Achilles has burn. But in the meantime, we'll just go with this because I happen to have the CE limit broken. I'm really happy about that because even though I'm not going to use it for videos much, I never, all the OP CEs always pass me by because I don't generally roll on them, but it was nice randomly getting this one. Although I only have it on my ult account, but still, it's nice. So if I ever do want to use it, I can, which will be almost never, but you know. What does this account even have when it's not? You know what, I guess we just use the damage CE. I think we're at the point where I don't need rare spawns too much, so I don't need to bring like an army of people with the rare spawn thing. It's not that big of a deal. And Jesus Christ, I don't need the QP. QP is super irrelevant for this account. Yeah, the power jump there was rather large. Alright, we'll finish up this stage and then I think I'll wrap up. Got any questions, chat? Now is the time. Yeah, if you like Mori, I would definitely get your Mozart's third skill up. And just keep an eye on caster dailies are up, because thankfully caster gems are the only gem that are. I mean, they're still a bitch to farm. Like it sucks, but they're the least shit to farm. So, and Mozart doesn't take too many. Why are we here just to suffer? Yeah, I know, right? Definitely feeling that right now with the whole sleep problem. What do I do with these points? I don't know. Look at them. Get streamers' attention with them. That's about it. I like light and dark green. It just depends on how you're using them. If you're using it as like a primary color, I actually like dark green more. But as a highlight, I like light green more. And there's always exceptions. You know, there's exceptions to everything, but yeah, I have beat Dark Souls at level 1. It's been an ungodly long time. That's actually not my favorite way to play. I like to. I generally like. I normally have more fun doing like very low level stuff, but not level 1 stuff. Just because you have more options. Level 1 stuff can be pretty limiting in what you actually can do. Not much customization at that point. Very strict meta. Yeah, I got Martha in P2. I just threw a bunch of summon tickets at her, and I got her in P2, so it felt good. It was pretty annoying though. I threw way less summon tickets at Martha on an A, and I got her in P2, and I'd thrown so many at Brynhildr, and I didn't even get her. I eventually did get Brynhildr on this account, but not on my main. And I would have much preferred to have gotten Brynhildr on my main, but it didn't happen. Actually, my main has a ticket left, but it's not a I got a ticket from like the 7-day streak or whatever. But I don't think Brynhildr gets a solo rate up anymore. You know what, chat? I'm not gonna plug in my main account because I'm too fucking lazy, but I'll use it. We'll use our one summon ticket and see if by some fucking miracle. It would suck though. Maybe I know I shouldn't do this because even if I got her, it would just be annoying because then I have Brunhilde at a high NP rank on this account or a decent NP rank on this account, and I'd have her NP1 on my main, and that would just be annoying. So I should just save the summon ticket. That could be a Sir K later, right? So we'll be smart about this. Yeah, it's pretty whack. I used so many... Dude, that was crazy. Because the shop reset, right? The monthly shop reset. And all my accounts got 5 summon tickets. And my main account got Kiara again from those. I like, why? And then my old account got Brunhilde from one. And then I decided to do some SQ to try to limit break the CE, because I realized I was really close to limit breaking it, so I was like, fuck it, I'll go for it. And then I got lucky. While I was limit breaking the CE, I got more copies of Brunhilde, so that was nice. Also got Kiara again, but, you know, what are you gonna do? And actually, I don't know how many Kiaras I got in total. I know my main, I can't even believe this. My main got her twice, with just summon tickets. Like, with just summon tickets. My fucking main got Kiara twice. It's stupid.
Yeah, お前さんも相当に強かった。縁があったらまた戦おうぜ。
I mean, if they ever do another Edmund, it probably won't be the exact variant of Edmund Dominant we have now. It'd probably just be the Count of Monte Cristo, you know, side of him. So I think there'll be more versions of him at some point. You know, even though they said it's impossible for Gilgamesh to be altered, they'll still, I mean, it's impossible for Joan of Arc to be altered, and yet here we are, and like, yeah, technically, oh, fuck this, oh my god, why? I already have it! This account already has it! None of my accounts have the nighttime CE. None of them. And I've been doing nothing but nighttime stages on all my other accounts, and fucking Christ, dude. Anyway, but yeah, they'll just fanfic Gil, or they'll make up some bullshit. Like, I swear they're gonna do Gil alter at some point, even though he technically can't be altered and stuff. They do stuff like this all the time. But yeah, I'd be cool if they just did the Count of Monte Cristo, you know, version of Edmund. Because the Edmund we have is basically like the revenge side of him only. It's like the side of him that's like so obsessed with revenge and stuff. It's not the full-on Edmund Dantes. It's not his full self. He even says that. So they'll probably do that. I mean, because people, dude, that when they showed his original design, I mean, people just went nuts. I mean, people lost their fucking minds. Like, I don't think I've ever seen such a positive reception to like a potential costume or whatever before. Like that was one of the most universally hyped things. So I swear at some point they're going to have to use that. I mean, if they wanted to do female Gil, they'd just do, what is her name? Angelica, which technically isn't Gil, it's just her own character, so that's all they would do. Which, you know, obviously they kind of designed her in the style of Gil to kind of get around it, but, you know, at least she's her own character, so it doesn't really bother me. Kind of like Artoria doesn't really bother me when we have Arthur, so... And it's even more extreme than that. But yeah, doing Gil alter would be stupid. Like, there's no point in making characters like Joan of Arc and Gil, and then you don't do the thing. The thing that makes them unique is the fact that they can't be altered, right, and can't be manipulated like that. But then you do it anyway, and you just make a workaround. Like, it's just stupid, right? Like, what was the point then? It's just catering to, like, you know, fans ultimately, and losing any like artistic backbone. So it kind of sucks. So yeah, I'd much prefer they did Angelica. I think, is her name Angelica? Am I getting this right? I don't fucking remember. Anyway, I would vastly prefer that over Gil Alter, because she's her own character, so, you know, no problem. I figure if they ever do something else with Prism Ilya, they'll add her, because she's pretty popular. I thought there was a chance they would have done it instead of Miyu, but the demand for Miyu was which is funny because fucking no one uses Miyu, but Some of that's because she's terrible. Also, I didn't even see that many people though. Like, it's one of those things. It's hard to gauge because it's not like people that are satisfied don't say anything, and a lot of people just don't say anything anyway, right? I'm not really sure how many Miyu fans there actually are, right? It was such an obvious thing that like she could have been in, but she wasn't. So it was kind of like a rallying cry for them. So it was very easy to see a vocal minority. I'm not saying Miyu's unpopular. I honestly just don't know. I'm not actually sure Miyu is that popular, but yeah, there was like a lot of people asking for it. Yeah, Bazette would be nice, but if they do Bazette, I think they would do it for Fate Hollow, or if they ever decided to do like a, you know, another Ishtar moment, right? Which sucks. If they add Bazette, I do not want Bazette being like Parvati or Ishtar. I would much prefer Bazette to just be Bazette, like how Gray is just Gray and Shiki is just Shiki. Like, because Bazette is really cool in like her fighting style on her own, right? Like she's awesome. So I don't want Bazette fused with, you know, whatever, you know, with a completely different fighting style and completely different clothes and everything, right? So I really hope. What do you think, chat? If they ever, let's say they made a Fate Hollow anime and they decided to do a Fate Hollow collab, which I don't think they'll do because Fate Hollow is too tightly connected to Fate Stay Night. But if they did do that, who do you think the welfare would be? Because there's not that many options because a lot of the things are already playable in the game. It's like Bazette, Kodamine's daughter. You could do an alternate version of some people. There's really not a lot, right? Yeah, that was a thing, Rex. But yeah, Bazette would be nice. Get some more punchy. Can we get Bazette and Kozuki? Can we get like the cool people in suits that punch people pack? Right? Because seriously, Kozuki's like one of my favorite goddamn masters, and he's not in anything ever, right? It really sucks. The dude's awesome. Yeah, can we just let's see it. Kozuki, Bazette, Sisigo, Kaneth, that would be nice. You know, but Kaneth missed his chance, unfortunately. We'll probably get Kodamine at some point with Rasputin. And he's pretty much just Kodamine, so I think people will get what they want on that one. Kodamine, Lily, oh boy. Yeah, that'd be Fate Zero, I guess. Yeah, if they do case files, I wonder what they would do. I mean, there's so many things, there's a million characters that they could add, honestly, that I don't think Sisigo would make it in. He is decently popular, but APOC is overall not that liked, so I doubt he'd get in. There's just so there's flat and there's so many things they could do. There's the faker and all that bullshit. Like there's just a million things that they could do. I just went Sir K period, right? My God, please put him in Lost Belt 6. Oh my God, if he's not, I'm gonna be so sad. All right, let's wrap up. I'm super tired and I gotta relax here. My brain's pretty fatigued. I think Sir K has a pretty decent chance of getting in at some point. There's a lot of hype around him, and he already has a design, and he's one of the more impactful knights of the round. So, alrighty, what do we got here? Let's just raid Fino because I cannot be bothered to look at who else is streaming, and Fino's awesome anyway. So. There we go. Alright boys, you have a good one. I am probably going to take tomorrow off because I'm just pooped and I also want to make a video and I haven't made one in forever and all those things. I thank you guys for hanging out and listening to me ramble about bullshit that doesn't matter, and I will see you later. Hopefully the day after tomorrow.